Welcome to the Cherubim Tribe podcast, or the CT podcast for short. Proverbs 25 verse 2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter." Dive in with us as we begin to search out and dig deeper in the things of God. All right, today on the podcast, on the CT podcast, I have Pastor Reddie with me. She is a wife, she's a mother of three, and she also leads or pastors a church with her husband called Word of Truth Ministry all the way in Port Alfred. A little coastal town in the promised land that is South Africa. Welcome to the podcast, Pastor Reddie.
Thank you very much. Just one point of correction.
Oh, yeah.
It's not 3 kids. It's 3 nations.
Oh, okay. I was like, what did I do wrong with my intro? I'm about to be corrected. I was like, very cherubim, I got something wrong. Okay.
Yeah, meant to be 12, but 3, unfortunately.
3 kids that will become nations. Have you thought about what their tribe names are going to be?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do they know they're meant to be nations?
Yes.
Okay. They've been informed. They've been
informed. Oh no, from the get-go.
Cool. I actually want to do a bit of a warm-up question before we go into a warm-up game. I was sitting with some of the people I work with, some of the young adults, and it just came up in the moment where I asked them, how would you like to be introduced onto a podcast one day? So I was like to them, say 10 years from now, because we're young adults, we're dreaming about in 10 years we'll be living the life. How would you want someone to introduce you onto a podcast? And then obviously they went. So how, Pastor Reddie, would you want someone one day to introduce you onto a podcast?
Wow, talk about put somebody on the spot. Thanks, Joel. So usually when people are introduced, we tend to focus on their accolades, their achievements and things like that. And that is what draws people into their conversation. So say I'm a doctor, then everyone's like, wow, well educated, you definitely have something to say.
Yes.
So I want to listen to you. If it's just a plain Jane, no title attached to the name, then people are not really interested unless they hear the title and it kind of piques their interest. So there was a time in my life where I would have wanted a very long title attached to my name, but the Lord has since redeemed me from that. And if Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and this is not Christianese, okay? This is me firing from my heart. So if Jesus, the Son of God, was happy to be just introduced as Rabbi, who am I to want long titles attached to me? And I feel titles kind of box you in. Yeah. They limit you because if you say Pastor Reddie, then all people are going to see is a pastor. They will not see anything beyond that. And I don't like to be boxed by a title. So I'm quite happy to be introduced as Reddie, daughter of the Most High God.
Hey. Okay, that's quite interesting. Mistake me if I'm wrong, but I would think rabbi, which means teacher, would be while it's not a big title, would be a title of honor to have back in those days.
Yes, and also because they needed to respect who he was. But when you look at who he truly was, rabbi was insufficient.
It's for short.
Very insufficient. So maybe the one that would have been applicable would have been Mighty Counselor, Wonderful,
Prince of Peace,
Everlasting Father, Son of God, all those things.
There's a lot of titles that could go with that.
But even still those are not
he was happy with Rabbi.
Yeah, he was fine with Rabbi. For the times he was happy with Rabbi. But yeah, for now, what you said will suffice.
Will suffice.
Yeah, and I think 10 years from now, definitely my title is going to change.
Yes.
Because of what I'm doing. So.
Okay.
We don't want to get into that.
You don't want to get into that.
Let it be a surprise.
Okay. All right, fair point.
Maybe president.
It's interesting you say that as well, because obviously I was speaking to 2 of the young adults when we did this, and the one was talking about how she wanted to be introduced as this international speaker, whatever. The other one was about his music and Grammy-winning awards and album sales and all that, which was cool. I mean, it was amazing. And then one of the elders of my church came and sat down, and so I asked him the same question. He didn't hear the answers, and all he said was, husband, father, I think Christian or elder, something like that. That was like his quick answers. I was like, how do you want to be introduced? And so he didn't say anything about accolades, about positions, just the positions he already held, which was a husband and a father.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see the shift in mindset as you grow up.
Yes.
And how you want to be remembered.
Definitely.
All right, are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I want to play a bit of a warm-up game. For those who don't know, we're going to have a very interesting conversation around marriage/dating. We're going to kind of, I'm just going to try have a conversation with Pastor Reddie and just, and somehow, as I lead the conversation and listen to a story, find out the gems or the gold that I can apply to my own life as a young single man.
Fantastic.
Currently in the dating sphere of life. Okay, so I asked your husband a bunch of would you rather questions. And so what I want you to do is I'm going to read them out. I want you to tell me which answer you think your husband gave. And I'm going to say at the end how well you actually know your husband from these things.
Wow, come on. I know him well, but he should never be judged by a game.
No judgment. Okay. Number 1. Would your husband rather receive a heartfelt handwritten letter from you or a thoughtful gift?
Heartfelt handwritten letter from me.
You think your husband would prefer that?
I prefer that.
Okay. I'm just going to mark right or wrong on my answer list, and at the end I will reveal to you.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. Okay, would your husband rather you cook him a fancy dinner or you take him out to a nice restaurant?
That's very tricky. I would say fancy dinner, but then on the other side, he's one man who knows that sometimes cooking takes a lot out of me, so you would want me to rest and not go through it. So then you would say, no, let's go out so that you don't have to cook.
So what's your answer?
So, and I always cook for him anyway, so I would say go out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Would your husband rather spend a free evening with you binge watching a new series together or going out for the night?
Binge watching a series together.
What series do you enjoy these days?
So I'm not a series person because they are time consuming, and I'm one of those people, if I start something, I want it to finish. So I don't want something hanging on my head. And if it's like a series that already has all the seasons out, it'll take a lot to discipline myself to stop everything, to stop wanting to watch everything. So the only series that I've ever been into and have enjoyed and love repeating is Keeping Up Appearances, which is a British sitcom from the 90s with Mrs. Bouquet.
Mrs. Bouquet?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Bucket.
Out of interest, it's not on my list of questions, but do you think modern day sitcom series, movies in general, like, do you think they paint a good image or idea of marriage or dating or romance in general, or do you think they kind of they're misleading the general people?
They are misleading the general people because I feel there is an agenda that they're trying to push, and they are painting everything with the same brush, which is not accurate, and they are kind of like more selfish, self-centered, very individualistic in how the relationships go, and it's almost like what is mine kind of a situation, and it's hopeless. It's like, if it's not working, then walk out. But we know it's not like that on the ground. Yeah, so I think they are misleading. Would
you say you like romantic movies though, in spite of the misleading message they tend to give?
I used to, but not anymore because they're so predictable.
Yeah.
So you have a few that have a great storyline. Well, like The Notebook. I love The Notebook. I loved The Longest Ride. This is just saying it off the cuff. I loved Pride and Prejudice. But most of your Hollywood chick flicks are so predictable and so cheesy, so I'm not into that.
I always find it funny, the ones where they fall in love, they have a fight that almost breaks them up, that really could have been solved by simple communication or silly reason, and then they get back together at the end and all is happy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the game, because I won't tell you if you're doing good or bad yet.
Oh wow.
Would your husband rather do cooking lessons together with you or dancing lessons together?
Dancing lessons together.
Interesting choice. Very interesting stuff. Right, would your husband rather go to a holiday to the mountains or to the beach?
Mountains.
I do know you guys like to go to the mountains a lot.
Yeah, because I love the mountains.
Alright, would your husband rather eat the same meal every day or watch the same thing every day?
Eat the same meal every day.
Would rather eat the same meal every day?
Yeah, than watch the same thing. Watch the same thing is my thing.
Okay. Would he rather, this is an interesting one, give up coffee or give up all sweets, cakes, and treats?
He's got a sweet tooth.
But he also drinks coffee.
And he also drinks coffee, and he's been trying to lay off the sugar. But he's got a sweet tooth. So I would say give up the sweet treats.
You'll give them up?
Give up coffee,
okay.
Yeah.
And last but not least, would he rather get a goodbye kiss or a hello kiss?
Oh, wow. Two sides of the same coin here.
Yes, but very different.
Oh, dear Lord. Hello kiss.
You'd rather have a hello kiss?
Yeah, hello kiss.
Okay. So that out of 8, how well do you think you did?
I think I probably got 6 out of 8.
Okay. Let me just make sure I got this right. You got 4 out of...
No!
50%!
Oh, wow.
Are you sure you want to tell us about marriage?
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. And these are just preferences, and they change overnight. It depends on the mood.
You want to know which ones you got wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, he said he would prefer a thoughtful gift over a handwritten note.
Okay.
He said he'd prefer you to cook him a fancy dinner than to be taken out to a restaurant.
Okay, so the man would rather have me slave in the kitchen. Yeah. Nice to know.
He said he'd rather go out for the night than binge watch a series.
Really?
He said if it was a movie, it would have been a different story, but not a series.
Oh, wow. Okay, and I thought I knew the man.
The other one you got wrong is he would rather watch the same thing every day than eat the same meal every day.
So you would rather eat the same thing you'd rather watch the same thing every day? Because I said you would rather eat the same thing every day.
Right, let me make sure I get it.
Yeah.
You'd rather watch the same thing every day than eat the same thing every day. So
it's repeating stuff.
That's why I'd rather not eat the same thing every day.
Yeah, he doesn't know himself. Trust me, I know him better. No. Those are subject to change.
Then you got the coffee one right, you got the Hello Kiss one right, you got the dance in the mountains correct.
No, the other two he doesn't know himself. Trust me. I was supposed to get 6 out of 8.
Welcome to marriage.
Yeah, welcome
101.
to marriage 101.
Alright, let's jump into it. Now, before there's a marriage, there's a dating phase.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, there's an engaged phase in most cultures. Before the engaged phase, it's the dating phase. But before the dating phase, there is the single life that we all love and hate at the same time.
Tell me about
it. You had a single life, right?
I had a single life for a long time.
Oh, for a long time?
Yeah, when does the single life start? Let's be real. From 18, right? You're legal from the time that you're 18.
The single life starts from the moment you become interested in boys or...
No!
Because then you think that...
Sure, we start taking an interest in boys when we're in primary school. And
okay,
yeah. So
I was not interested in girls in primary school.
Something was wrong with you, okay?
No, none of my guy friends were thinking about girlfriends. I mean, that I can think of.
Really? They're not being honest. Trust me. We start noticing the opposite sex from the time we're in primary school, okay? And that is a fact. So the ones that we're not noticing probably had self-esteem issues, inferiority issues, too much in their heads and couldn't see anything, or their hormones hadn't kicked in. But generally for girls, we start noticing boys from as early as grade 1.
So when did you start noticing boys for the first time?
Let's not go there. Okay?
No, let's go there. When did you start noticing boys for the first time?
When I was in grade 3.
Grade 3? Okay. Who was the first boy that caught your eye?
Oh my hat! Gosh! Hey, what if he's listening and he doesn't know this and then he's going to think there's a chance for him?
Just disclaimer, there's no chance for you. Your time is coming by.
Oh my hat. Oh wow. This is tough. There were 2 boys in class that I thought were really cute. One, I had started grade 1 with him. The other one only came at grade 3. And I thought they were really cute. The new one was kind of short, didn't like that, but I thought he was cute. He was very articulative and smart.
Okay.
Then the one who was with me from grade 1, he had a pretty face. Now, when I say pretty, I mean pretty. And he was effeminate than anything. Those 2 I noticed from the time I was in grade 3. I don't want to mention names. Shame, no. Their wives might not be happy with me.
Oh, okay.
If they're still alive.
If they're still alive, wow.
If they're still alive.
Okay, because for me, I mean, I can't remember when for guys, but I remember, so the only story I have from preschool that involves a girl was, it was me and my best friend, and there was a girl. And we would fight over who was friends with the girl, but that was it. We weren't interested in dating, we would just fight over who was friends. Yeah, so if she was spending time with you, I'd be upset with you, but if she was spending time with me, we'd be upset with you. I remember that, we used to fight over this 3-way friendship. That was all it was when we were in primary.
And she never got upset about the 2 of you being friends without her.
So I think she would put us against each other.
Interesting.
Yeah, but there was nothing.
Were you in at the time?
I was in. It was like grade R level.
Oh, okay. I know you're very little. Yeah. No, they don't really notice much. Yeah, I'll let you go on that one.
But I mean, in grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, maybe grade 6, I started to notice like, okay, there's an opposite sex that's attractive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I start thinking that way.
It took a while for you to take your head out of the water, hey?
I think that's normal.
Some air. That's not normal.
For guys, I think that's normal.
Really? Maybe. You guys are slow. Yeah, guys are usually slow. Sometimes you get married and they're still not aware.
but then even like grade 7 we dating, but it's the silly relationships. 2 weeks dating, you hold hands, you maybe give them a peck, and it's like, oh, I kiss them, woo.
Oh no, some of us never went there at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did things get serious for you on the dating front?
My first boyfriend happened when I was 20.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
because
late in today's world.
Yeah, because my dad would not hear of it. I had crushes, okay? I had guys that I had crushes on, and vice versa, but I was not allowed to be in a relationship, never told the guy that I liked him. So I had my first boyfriend when I was 20, and by then I was working, so it was permissible according to my father.
So you grew up in an environment where you don't date in school?
No.
What are your thoughts on dating in school? I know you have 2 daughters that
yes,
are now in high school.
I'm against it because I'm very old school. I feel it's very rare that you marry the guy that you date when you're in high school. Yeah. It's very rare. And so what's the purpose of dating if you're not wanting marriage as the end goal? And when you're in high school, you don't even know who you are. You're still trying to discover your identity. So why plague your life with the drama of a dude or a girl when you're not ready for marriage? So I feel school should be for finding who you are and really knuckling down on your studies.
Yeah.
Because a relationship will complicate things and will take away your focus from what really matters. And what really matters are your studies. And I feel there are certain things that you cannot do at a certain time. Like you don't want to be pursuing high school when you're in your 20s. But relationships you can always pursue later on in life. So do what needs to be done today and wait for tomorrow for what needs to be done tomorrow.
Do you think there's no value in that can be found or come from dating in high school?
I don't want to say there is no value per se, because some people have found their sweethearts in high school and they've made it work and they've gone on to get married. And some people, especially when they are certain of who they are and what they want in life, then it works. So if a person is mature emotionally, I think there is value in it.
Okay.
But if you're not, then it's not ideal. And also sometimes dating acts as an escape, as a scapegoat, if I want to say, no, actually escape, as an escape. So if you are coming from a toxic home, dysfunctional family, having somebody who appreciates you, who loves you, who gives you a sense of belonging, can actually help you to build your self-esteem and find hope in life. That's what I did with my crushes. So I would crush on a guy and that gave me hope.
For the next day?
Yes, and I would daydream on that instead of focusing on the dysfunctionality that was going on around me.
Yeah, but you never acted on that dream?
No, never. I was not allowed.
Never and also behind secret doors?
No, never ever. Got my first kiss when I was 20. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm a young guy and I come to you and I say, hey, Pastor, I've been walking with the Lord, I'm in matric now, my grades are good, my sports are good, and there's this girl that, for the last 2 years, I haven't been able to get out of my mind. And you know what? Why can't I just date her? I feel like I'm in love with her. For 2 years, I've just had eyes for her.
Okay, so my question would be, what's the intention? What's the end goal?
Oh, I'm sure I'll marry her one day.
Sure, you'll marry her one day. When is one day? Because you don't
want to date her. I don't know. I'm going to study after this. Then I got to find a job before I can buy a ring.
Oh, wow. We're talking 10 years. In essence, we're talking nothing less
She's
than
still got to
5
finish
years.
school. She's 2 years behind me.
Oh, no. Please leave the little girl. Let her finish high school. No, let her finish high school before you plague her with your love and whatever else you're feeling in your heart. Because 9 times out of 10, it's your hormones that are raging, not really love. Because what do you really know about love when you're 18? No, that means nothing. I crushed on a guy for 4 years.
No way.
Seriously.
4 years.
For 4 years, yeah.
Okay. I think a disclaimer. A guy won't crush for long on a girl.
Yeah, because you guys always move to bigger and better, right? No, I think my world was very small in terms of good-looking guys that I liked.
Okay.
So if I found one, let's crush on that one and hope to get married to him. So I'll crush until I get an opportunity to marry him, which I never did, but yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me no.
No. When you're still in high school, no. Even when I was an adult, it was very tough. And even now, married, we're still discovering all the nuances of love.
Yes.
And what I thought love was 20 years ago is not what it is. And it's not what I've discovered now. Yes. So speaking in hindsight, I would say no. Definitely no. A big no. Yeah. Varsity, maybe.
Maybe. Do you think you can really control once varsity hits?
Yes.
At that point, you're a young adult. You're kind of your own adult.
No, you can, depending on who you are and what you're pursuing in life. Because I've seen a lot of people have their hearts broken in varsity. We've got 43A school here, and we've got stand-in here, and we've spent lots of time with these students from these two respective places, and it's been a train wreck in most cases.
Don't you just think heartbreak is inevitable, whether you date out of school, in school, high school,
No,
as young adults?
it's when it happens that makes the difference.
Okay, explain.
So if you're young and you don't know how to manage your emotions, it can really be detrimental.
Yeah.
You think your life has come to an end, death is the only option, woe is me, and it will
Yes.
take you longer to get over it.
Okay.
And it really damages your self-esteem because you start thinking something is wrong with me, that's why you didn't want me. And remember, at that time you're still figuring out your identity, so a heartache just makes it worse.
Yeah.
And it further endorses those thoughts that you have that are negative about yourself. So it's not ideal. But when you're older, you kind of have experienced a lot more and you are a bit wiser, so you are a bit kinder to yourself and you manage the heartache better than what you would if you were in school.
Okay, when you say a bit older, you manage it better. What are you thinking?
So a bit older in terms of what? What do you mean? Am I thinking in terms of age?
No,
or
how do you know when you or someone is in that space where they can handle heartbreak? You say in high school
you never
kids
know.
shouldn't have to
No,
go
you
through
never
it.
know. You see, everybody only knows when they're in it.
Yeah.
So you can't predict beforehand. But again, if you've gone through life and you've overcome some giants in your life, it will help you tomorrow. But if you don't have any battle scars and then you go into this full-on battle of heartache, and you know, love is a big thing for most people, especially women, because we're emotional beings. So when a guy disses you and he ditches you, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. So if you're still young and very naive and this happens, it can really destroy you. And it will take a lot more for you to come out of that than what it would do if you were a bit older and you haven't gone through life. Because when you're older, you come to realize that, hey, it's no big deal. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
But when you're young, the sum total of your life, what you consider to be your world, is usually the people that live on your street or the guys in your class. So when the guy disses you, it feels as though the whole school knows about it and everybody's going to think you're not good enough and there's no guy out there that is ever going to love you.
Yeah. Speaking about your world getting smaller, obviously in today's world, teenagers' worlds are so much bigger.
Yeah.
Do you think that's made the dating scene one more dangerous and toxic than what it was before? Two, do you think it's made it harder to stay out of the dating scene as a teenager and wait until, as you say, when you get older to step in, or easier?
All of the above. All of the above. I mean, the world has practically become an oyster for these young kids, and they can access anybody, anywhere, anytime. Back in the day, I would have to catch a flight to access a guy that is in Hong Kong. Now it's just a click of a button away. And anything becomes possible, and there are no filters. There are no filters, there are no safety nets, there are no guardrails to protect you. Because when you're in that world, everything is according to how I feel and what I know, and no one else is the wiser.
Yes.
So I can be in my room doing the most on my phone with some person or some people from wherever, and my parents will not even have a cooking clue. Whereas back in the day when technology was almost non-existent, for me to do that, I have to go somewhere. And chances of going somewhere were next to zero, because then the parents would be like, where do you want to go? Who are you going to be with? Why are you doing that? So there were a lot of guardrails that stopped us from acting on our emotions, on our desires, on our whims, whatever you want to call it. Nowadays, geez, I mean, people can do the most in a chat room and say the worst.
Yeah, but I wonder now if maybe because and the world has gone so digital and there's so much perversity, if I put it that way, that young teenagers can access that. I wonder if maybe it's just going to be healthy if they at least had healthy, good, normal dating relationships, and that would be a win in itself, to just have that and fight the battle against them going to the perversity or the twisted stuff of the world, versus trying to fight the battle of them not dating in high school, and rather teaching them to date right in high school in a way that's healthy-ish. Is there a healthy way to date as a teenager?
Well, the minute you use the word dating, then it's already unhealthy. But I guess it's a question of semantics. But the better word would be courtship. So if they go into courtship, it's healthier, it's safer than dating, because dating is a loose term for a casual relationship with whoever, you know. And depending on the nature of the relationship, anything can go. But when it's courtship, straight away there are so many boundaries, there are so many restrictions, and there are so many things that are put in place, and there are so many people that are involved in that relationship that you can't just do what you want when you want. But with dating, I can do what I want. If I don't feel like seeing you today, I'm not coming. And if I feel, you know what, I don't really like you anymore, I actually like your friend, I'm free to do that because I'm not accountable to anybody else apart from you and maybe my friends. And my friends come on, they're always on my side. But when it's courtship, you are accountable to all the people, and you can't just do what you want when you want to. First and foremost, for you to get into that relationship, those people need to be involved. So when I'm talking of those people, it's people that you choose to be accountable to. And in most cases, it's your parents or your spiritual parents. They have to know about this person you're interested in before you even tell the person. Okay. And they have to process it with you. Why? What are your intentions? Why this one? Do you really know them? What kind of a character do they have? What does the word of God say about this? And where is God taking you in your life? Where is that person going? So everything is serious from the get-go, and they open your mind to think past the feelings of, I like him, he's cute, and all those frivolities that we tend to do in dating. Yeah. And so they will kind of like troubleshoot before you even get into the relationship, before you even go and embarrass yourself by asking somebody out who's not a good fit. So courtship is the ideal, but the world doesn't talk about courtship anymore. Yeah, I mean, talk about dating. As you said, like semantics. Yeah. Sometimes people can say dating, courtship. Sometimes people can say courtship and they're really just dating. But when you really look at them, they're completely different. Yeah. But when you're talking courtship, you're talking, I think the main difference, not to say it's the only one, is that there's older people that are involved in the relationship. Yeah, there's serious accountability. And in courtship, the intention is always marriage. Yes. It's not, let's just see how things go. Yes. With dating, it's let's just see how it goes. If I don't like you tomorrow, then it's over. And I can break up with you anytime, anywhere, any place, and I don't have to answer to anybody. With courtship, you can't. If I break up with you, I have to go and speak to those people that I'm accountable to and ask them to help me process my feelings. Because I may not be feeling it right now, and maybe tomorrow it will be different. So I can't just be rushed in how I respond, you know. So courtship is way better and way safer. So dating, first and foremost, we have to define it. What do we mean by dating? And my experience, just being observant, is, okay, I like you, you like me, we don't have to tell anybody, so let's go out, you know. Let's go out. You know, I like you, do you want to be my boyfriend? Do you want to be my girlfriend? Yeah, okay, cool. And then we start a relationship. And I don't have to tell my parents, I don't have to tell my friends, I don't have to tell anybody. If I don't want to, I won't, and I can keep it that way. What are the people that like? Because I know it's like a lot of people today's world, they come towards their kids dating in school, and their parents will know, they'll be in a relationship. They know what's, I mean. And it's very sad. Okay. I feel it's very sad. Because first and foremost, you have to ask yourself, is my child old enough to handle the emotions that come with dating? And how is this good for them? Because I've seen parents being casual about these things, and they have seen their kids go through one heartache to the next, and they think those things grow them, those things strengthen them, those things make them tougher. But I don't think so. I think those things just widen the trust issues within their own hearts, and it compounds the rate of, how should I put it, failure, if I can say, because they keep failing, you know, from one relationship to the next, and each relationship has got its own drama, and the kid is not old enough to process those things. I don't think. And they become hard with time. They become hard, they become disoriented, and they become hopeless 9 times out of 10. And sometimes it's the other side where they rush into something that they're not ready for. Some even rush into marriage when they are not ready. And then when they finally discover who they are, then suddenly, I don't think I married the right person, and now you're stuck with that person. So I think, you know, like what Solomon says in the word, do not awaken love until it so desires, or do not awaken love until it's time. Is very wise, very true, very apt. Because when people are young, they don't really understand what love is. That's the truth. I mean, we have adults that are still trying to figure it out. And also, if we are defining love according to what the world says love is, then we're wasting our time. Yeah.
Cool. I just want a quick answer to this, because I have actually another question I really want to dig into. But do you just out of the get-go, do you believe in the idea of, you know, everyone has kind of like, I don't know, you call it soulmate or one true love? No, I don't believe in that. You have a few options. No, that is Greek mythology. Yeah. That comes from Greek mythology.
and it does not come from the Word of God. So I don't take anything that is not based on what the Word teaches.
So then, because I think some people will say, well, God will tell you which one's the right one to marry.
No, because if there was such a thing, why then did people have multiple partners in the Word, multiple wives, if there's only one true love? Why are you having so many if there's only one true love? And if there can be one true love, why is there divorce then? If you've married your true love, why are you getting divorced and looking for another?
Well, they'll say, I didn't marry the right one.
No, so then when do you ever know? When do you ever know? Because I feel a lot of it is selfish-centered, it's selfish-driven. So because you are not meeting my needs, my preferences, you are no longer my true love. You know, what is true love? Because true love is supposed to be grounded in what 1 Corinthians 13 teaches from verse 4 to verse 8. Love is kind, love is patient, love does not rejoice in wrongdoing, does not keep a record of wrongs, rejoices in the truth, endures, perseveres, all those things. And 9 times out of 10, when they talk of true love, it's not even based on any of those things. It's based on, are you meeting my needs? Are you beautiful? Do you do what I want? And when they say this person is not my true love, and you ask why, their reasons are always petty and they are always selfish. So it's not really true love.
Yes.
True love can only come from what God says love is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I don't have a soulmate to true love, and dating, I should date for marriage. How then do I go about picking a partner? How should I go about picking a partner? And then we can get into how did you go about picking a partner?
Okay, so first and foremost, they say love enters through the eyes and leaves through the eyes. So it's seeing, right? You first see and then you are wowed by what you see. Okay. It can be at first sight or it can be gradually over time and just being around the person and seeing who they are. So a lot of the times it's what you see and what you hear about the person. And generally, we already have our own list. Okay, where we write the things that we want.
Do you think that's a good thing, like a healthy practice to have a list of
Yes, it is. It's yes and no, depending on how you apply it.
Yes.
So when that list becomes an idol and it becomes the determining factor, then something is wrong. Then you are not really being gracious to the other person and to yourself.
Yes.
So the list is great because it becomes a filter. You don't want to just take anything and everything that moves. Just because the person looked at you for 5 seconds or gave you that look, then suddenly they are the ideal person. No, you gotta have a list. What do you want in a person? You know, it's like food. I'm not just gonna eat anything and everything that is put before me. There are things that I like and there are things that I don't like. So the same thing, and there's gotta be chemistry. There has to be chemistry because that keeps it exciting.
It's funny you said there has to be chemistry.
But chemistry can be created.
So yeah, I was thinking more of the idea of the slow burn candle versus the quick spark. Because I think I can think back to times where there's people where it's like there's been instant chemistry, but I don't think there was enough to sustain something. And I can think of people where there was chemistry, but it wasn't like an instant spark. It's more been as time has gone, it's kind of built.
That's like those elements that take time to
get. Which one do you think? Do you think it's like either or do you lean into one?
No, but you can't just base it on chemistry.
Yes.
Because chemistry alone is not enough.
Okay, but there must be some kind of chemistry.
There has to be some kind of chemistry. And again, if the important things are in place, like character, that's the most important thing. If character is in place, but there is no chemistry, then give it time. So then it's the slow burning candle, right? You gotta give it time, spend more time together, and really get to know the person. So when you get to know the person, then the chemistry develops. If the character is in place. So the ones where it's a spark, and it fizzles out, it's because there was no character to sustain it.
Speaking of character, do you think there's things that must be on your list?
Yes.
And what must be on the list, and what is so let me tell you something that exercise someone ran me through, and you can judge whether you think it's a good or bad exercise. I'm trying to remember correctly, mistake me wrong, but I think they said the exercise they gave me when I was single, is they made me, I can't remember exactly how that, but I think it was something along the lines of, okay, just dream of your ideal woman. So, but 10 things about your ideal woman. So from looks to character to personality, and then out of that 10, pick 5. So basically,
that really matters.
10 5. So the 5 top traits, and whether it was looks, personality, character, it was a mixture of both for me, of my ideal woman. And then if you find a woman who has 4 of the 5, that's the one you go with.
Yeah, that's good. I think there's merit in that.
Okay, but But now you say that character, and there's certain things that must be on the list.
Yeah, the character has to be in place.
But what about?
So in terms of character, it all depends on the person. what you value. Because when we're talking about character, we're talking about values, right?
Okay, yes.
What the person values, what makes a person. So that varies from person to person, because what might be valuable to me in terms of character may not be so important for the other person.
Yes.
You know, so it just depends on the person. And for me, if you are a Christian, and trust me, I've been on this road many times and it was detrimental. If the person does not fear God and love God, you're wasting your time. No matter how great and how amazing they are, you're wasting your time.
And what about the people that would say, well, there's non-Christian couples that seem happy together?
Oh, really? How happy is happy?
Oh, no, I know.
Seem, right? They seem.
Okay.
Yeah, all that glitters is not gold. You don't live in their house.
Do you think without Jesus you can't have a happy marriage in this life?
It depends on what you call a happy marriage, because with Jesus, he defines what is a happy marriage. So a happy marriage can be defined in many different ways based on who the people are. So when you have Jesus, he defines it for you, and it becomes very different.
Okay.
And so, which is why when the happiness is removed, you keep holding on, because you understand that we don't base marriage on how we feel. We base marriage on what we choose, right? And without Jesus, trust me, it tends to be not superficial, but not as deep as it can be when Jesus is there, because Jesus is the one who brings the depth. That's how I see it. And I know I'm biased in that.
Obviously.
I'm allowed to be, because that's who I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a list?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us what was on the list?
Oh wow, I don't even remember here, because it has been reformed. The list has since been reformed and redeemed by Jesus.
Amen.
But back then, off the cuff, good looks. Oh, he had to be
that was number one on the list.
Yeah, number one. He had to be good looking and well turned out. He had to be well manicured.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for me, you had to look like James Bond. No, you had to look like James Bond. You had to be executive, smell good, look good, have an amazing vehicle.
That's funny, because if I'm not mistaken, your now husband, when you started dating, didn't have a vehicle.
No, I had a vehicle. He didn't.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying it has since been reformed. So you had to be good looking, well turned out, well spoken, have an amazing voice, must be romantic.
Sure.
And must love music and poetry, must treat me like a lady, and loving Jesus was right at the bottom, believe it or not. Right at the bottom, because I wasn't that serious with Jesus yet. And he must have ambition and be going somewhere. You must have your own condo somewhere and be able to afford me.
Okay, when you say ambition as
like
in
go-getter.
Yeah. Like he has the potential.
Not just potential. No.
Like
potential can be hopeless.
Yeah.
You can have potential and be going nowhere. No. Have ambition. You are driven. You are pursuing something. Yeah. Your goal is to rule the world, kind of thing. You know. Yeah.
Do you think women find that attractive?
Very much. Not all, but most.
Most.
Yeah, those with a good sense.
So any young guys listening, be ambitious and your game will increase by at least 2 points.
Yeah, nobody wants a hopeless guy who's happy to
Chill,
turn like the door
flow.
on its hinges. Come on, a little sleep, a little slumber, happy to be a couch potato and watch TV. Woe is me, I've been trying to get a job, or I'm sorry, that is so unattractive.
So you're against the game of boys?
No,
play games all day?
No,
what if they're ambitious about being the best in the game?
No, I'm sorry, that's not my thing. No, I don't see any hope in that.
Was the boys that scroll TikTok and Instagram all day?
No, I'm sorry, it's not attractive for me.
Not attractive.
Yeah, go out there, go bring the hunt.
Bring the hunt.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into this. I want you to tell us a bit about your story. You are now married to Pastor Justin.
Yes, 18 years on the 26th.
Spoiler for the story that's about to be told, she ends up marrying this man. But I want to hear a bit about, and I'm hoping as you tell the story, we're going to be able to see how, not to date, maybe, or to date, we will see what the story. Tell me about, just tell me the story about how you met Pastor J, how the dating happened, and then we can kind of get into, some of the dating lessons you learned in dating Pastor Justin.
Okay, so I don't mince my words, although others would advise. My counsel, my future counsel, would have advised me not to say anything, but I say it like it is. So when I met him, before I met him, I had a best friend. We were in high school together. We were in the same class, and she went to this church that was a Pentecostal church in Zimbabwe, and she liked Justin. He was the youth pastor at the time.
Sounds scandalous.
Very much. But you'll see. I'm not that kind of girl, okay?
We will judge.
Okay, well, please, with justice, not bias. So she liked Justin. She had a crush on Justin. She always talked about Justin. And I was like, what's the big deal? Church boys have got no game. That was my thing. Church boys have no game.
We take that personally.
And so my brother liked this friend of mine. I'm not going to mention names. My brother liked this friend of mine and wanted to date her.
Yeah.
And she wasn't keen because she liked Justin. And I wasn't happy about that. I wasn't happy. I wanted her to go out with my brother. I wanted her to really become a sister. You know?
Okay, so you were for that. Some people aren't.
Yeah, she's my best friend, so this is going to be cool. You are in the family,
Yes.
we do things together.
Yes.
What can go wrong, you know? And she turned him down because she liked this Justin Oak from church. I'm like, geez. And then I went to these white garment churches called apostolic churches, you know. And where we did church under a tree, you know,
Oh, wow.
we never had buildings. Those that met in buildings, we called them synagogue congregants, and they were unsaved. They needed Jesus because
wow.
that was the doctrine we were taught, and which was very interesting because I wasn't that kind of a person. So I was in that space because I was staying with an aunt, and that's the church she went to, and she just said, "You live with me. This is the church you go to." And I wasn't into that stuff, you know. I wanted to be Miss Barbie, you know. That was the thing, and I was pursuing modeling, okay? I wanted to be a beauty queen and all those things. So those churches were against all that. But anyway, so she's telling me of the synagogue church she's going to where they play music in the church. Huh? No, you are heathens. You're not supposed to have banned things in the church. That was the doctrine I had. The only thing you play are your hands. You clap your hands in church, nothing else, you know. So then I thought to myself, you are saying no to my brother because of this guy.
Heathen.
This guy in your church really was a youth pastor. What's the big deal? What is the big deal? You know, so I was curious. I'm like, my brother is a stud, you know. So if you say no to him because this Justin guy is better, I need to come and see this Justin dude. And also,
why don't you check him out for yourself at all?
No, I wasn't interested. Come on,
Totally
it's my best friend. Why would I want my best friend's dude? We just don't roll like
I've
that.
heard many high school stories that point to different paint.
No, I wasn't that kind of girl. I'm a sister, and I stick with my girls. I don't betray a sister. No, I don't do that. I don't roll like that. Never did and never will.
We'll see
Okay,
the story.
you'll see. So, and I also wanted to check this church out.
Yes.
You know, gosh, you guys have drums, guitars, pianos in church.
The cool stuff.
Cool. That's for a band. That's for secular music. Unsaved people roll with that.
That's what they say about lights and fog machines now.
you know. So I was like, okay, let's go to this church. I want to check it out.
Yeah.
And so I went in 1999. And it was towards the end of the year. So I went to see this church. And I was pleasantly surprised by the church. The ambience, the vibe, the atmosphere, the way they worshipped. I was like, oh, hey, this is my thing. You know, it's like, it was my thing, and I just didn't know it was my thing because I'd never been exposed to it. So that first exposure, I was sold out. I was like, wow, I like it here. I can hang here. I mean, this is me, you know.
Okay.
This is me. So never mind this apostolic church that I've been going to that is backward and rural, how I've been indoctrinated, and I was doing it because I was forced. I'm hanging here. I'm staying. So that first day I went to the church, I was like, I'm sold out. I'm staying.
But we want to hear more about the guy.
So then I don't remember. Yes, I think I saw Justin that day because he was part of the band. He played bass.
It wasn't love at first sight.
Never. I looked at him. I'm like, Jesus.
You hold to that. He's going to listen to this.
Yes, I hold to that, and he
Was
knows.
not love at first sight.
That's my story, and he knows, and everybody I've ever told the story knows that it has never changed.
Okay.
It was not love at first sight at all. I looked at him, and she's like, oh yeah, that's Justin, and I'm like, really, girl, what is wrong with you? Are you blind or something? You need a clap or something? Really, this boy? No offense, babes. He looked like a boy, and he had a baby face. Okay, he had a baby face, and to me, he looked like a boy. He wasn't the James Bond. I was looking, yeah. So for me, I'm like, I know my style, know my thing, girl. Something is wrong with you. But if it makes you happy, go for it. And so I started coming to the church, and because she lived in the area, I stayed far. I had to catch 2 taxis to get home.
Yes.
So after church, we would walk to a house. And she was into poetry, right? We were both into poetry, but she exercised it. I just didn't.
Yes.
And I don't want to exercise it on. So we would get home and Justin was into poetry. So I would help her.
That was one of the things on your list.
Yeah, it was. But it wasn't that important at the time.
Okay.
So I would help her write poetry to Justin. Because I was supporting my girl. I wanted to get the dude. I wanted to get the dude. So she would write
for her
poems to Justin, and I would look, I'm like, oh no, word it like this. How about you say it this way? And they were exchanging poetry, the two of them.
Oh, he was writing poetry
back to her.
Well, this is new.
Yeah, he was writing back. It wasn't one-sided. He was writing back. So then I would analyze what he wrote, and I'm trying to read between the lines, and the man was a chess player, right? Very strategic in how he would phrase things. So he would lead you on without really leading you on, that kind of thing. You'll be saying yes without really saying yes.
Yeah.
So you could never tie him down to anything in the court of law. Never, ever. But at the same time, you feel like, there's something here. There's hope. There's hope.
Sounds like Pastor Justin was a bit of a player.
No, he wasn't a player. He just knew how to keep the girls dangling. He just knew how to keep the attractions coming, the attention coming. Because he was enjoying it. I know it. Yeah, I know he was enjoying the attention. But who doesn't enjoy attention from the opposite sex?
Would you say this was borderline bad dating and not good courtship?
I know he didn't know about courtship then.
Okay, wasn't a date?
No, he wasn't dating her.
No, but I'm saying, is this part of that whole...
Yeah, bad dating, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like the before, but the kind of part of that, it doesn't, that heartbreak inevitable.
No, definitely. So, for the longest time, my friend tried... She held out a candle to him, and the man was never forthcoming. And I remember on our birthday, she is a day before me. I'm a day after her, but a year older than her.
Yes.
And I grew up in a family where we never celebrated birthdays, right? So never had birthday cake, never had candles, never had all this stuff. But she was into that. So we decided to have a combined birthday party.
Yes.
She was turning 21. I was turning 22. So we had a party at her house, and we invited people from church, and Justin was invited.
Okay.
But he did not come on time. And we had devised a scheme that when he comes, we were going to corner him and get him to...
Get a straight answer.
Straight answer. Yay or nay.
Yay or nay. Yeah.
And her dad was also going to corner him. Because her dad was also in the same church, and he knew that his daughter liked Pastor Justin.
Hey.
So I don't know. I think his friends told him somehow he caught wind of it. So he did not. Yeah, I know he was smart, and he only came close to going home time. He came in the night. He came around 7, and he did not even come inside. He did not even come into the yard. He stayed by the gate. Sent someone to call us. Didn't have a present, because we are expecting poetry, get birthday gift for my friend. Hey, the man is going to confess his undying love for her. No, he had no gift. He had no glad tidings. Oh, happy birthday. Oh, sorry, I'm in a hurry. I was busy the whole day. That's why I didn't come. Thank you for inviting me, but I'm not going to stay. I won't even have cake. I got to go. I just came to wish you happy birthday, and that's it.
And you still weren't interested in him at this point?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was more disappointed. I was like, he's a waste of time. He just diminished in my eyes. I'm like, who does this to a girl? So I was not happy with him, and I think for her something changed, something turned. She realized that she wasn't going to get anywhere with this guy. He was forever going to be elusive, and then by and by, we discovered there were quite a lot of girls that were interested in him.
Yeah, it's funny how, correct me if I'm wrong, but once a girl knows another girl's interested in a guy, he suddenly becomes more attractive in her eyes.
No, not when there's too many of them.
Oh, really?
Remember, he's the youth pastor. So the anointing has got a way of drawing so many people, except me. I was not faced by the anointing. I wasn't interested. I don't want a church guy, remember. So she eventually left the church. She and her family moved to another church. But I liked the church, so I stayed. And
no, totally liked the church, not the guy.
No,
anyway.
No, not at all. Not at all. To the point that, I started dating someone, James Bond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started dating.
In the church?
No.
Outside the church?
There are no James Bonds in the church.
They
were no at the time.
So they take the church boys.
Sorry. At the time, according to me, according to naive me, there were no James Bond guys in the church. So the James Bond guys were uncircumcised Philistines that were out there in the world, did not love Jesus. They were atheists. They were chasing other things other than God. And I got attracted to that because, remember my list?
Ambition.
So he ticked a lot of things on my list. And I felt it was too good to be true. And I felt like he was way out of my league.
Was this your first now boyfriend?
No, that was not my first boyfriend. That was my second boyfriend.
Was he more serious than the first one?
No, the first one was serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the first one was serious. The first one was when I was 20. My first job, he was the manager.
Oh, no, that's scandalous.
How is that scandalous?
You dated the manager. You dated your boss.
No, this is how it happened, okay? I am a very clever woman. Don't see me like this. I'm always about board. Always.
Sounds scandalous to me. Dating the boss.
I did not date him at the time I worked with him. So my first job, I got employed. It was a fast food restaurant. It was a franchise. And it was called Gold Reef. They did seafood. Okay, so now imagine seafood in Zimbabwe, landlocked country. So that's for your affluent people. And it was in an affluent neighborhood, right? And I love that because that's where you see the James Bonds, right? So I used to see them, but I could not do anything because remember, I'm doing the shy girl kind of thing. So this guy was the manager of the restaurant where I worked, or fast food place where I worked. And he was interested in me. And I said, no, I'm not interested because he's my boss. I mean, I'm not going to do this. So I worked there for 3 months. And then I left. And then after I left, that's when I was like, okay, cool, I'll give you the time of day. And he was into poetry and music as well. That's how he won my heart. Yeah, but that relationship only lasted 5 months. Yeah. Because he wasn't James Bond. Yeah.
I remember when some people used to say, you don't dip your pen in the company ink. if a young single Christian came to you and said, hey, look, they're working, they're mature, everything, and they're like, hey, me and my coworker, we hit it off. Where would you stand on that? Not the boss, the coworker.
Yeah, it can work. It's just that when it gets toxic, then it can really be toxic.
Yeah.
But it can work. I know people that got married because they made it work and they made it work.
Yeah.
Coming back to Justin and I dating, it was a couple of years before I finally said yes.
Was this after, it's a couple of years after your friend left?
Yeah, after my friend left.
So when you say a couple of years, 2 years?
Probably more than that.
Oh, really?
Because I started dating someone else. Yeah, so I started dating a James Bond and things were not working out in that relationship. And I went to our pastor at the time and I confided in him because I needed counseling. And he was outright about it that, no, you shouldn't be dating an uncircumcised Philistine. So he's the one who started with the whole uncircumcised Philistine term. And I wasn't convinced. I felt, no, this is the guy, too good to be true kind of thing. And I wasn't looking at what really matters in a relationship. And so it was toxic for me actually to be in that relationship. So my best friend who had left, she was now dating someone else.
Yeah.
And so I used to talk to her about my uncircumcised Philistine, and she was against the relationship. And she would not support such a toxic thing for me. So she started speaking to Justin because she felt somebody needed to rescue me from this toxic relationship. So she started speaking to Justin. And by the way, Justin and I had become good friends because we got involved in young adults leadership.
Okay.
So we were both part of the leading committee for our young adults group in the church. And so then we kind of like became friends, because remember, it's now like a year or two since my friend left. And then I started, hey, cut the guy some slack, Your friend is gone. You can't be like this with him. So I kind of allowed him into my space, and then I was like, he's okay. But for me, I was like, he's still a kid. That's how I was. He's still a kid. And then when my friend found out about my toxic relationship with the uncircumcised Philistine, she started talking to Justin. Like, okay, Justin is a friend of Reddie's.
Yes.
So maybe he can knock some sense into her head and get her out of this toxic relationship. So she started telling my friend about this guy and saying, you need to do something, And so then Justin took an interest and then got closer to me to kind of help me unravel myself from this toxic relationship. And so he he got close and he started asking questions about, what's going on in my life, da, da, da. And so I'm that type of a person, I wear my heart on the sleeve. You ask, I tell you. So I started confiding in him, I'm like, he's a good friend. So I started telling him stuff about my toxic relationship with an uncircumcised Philistine, including telling him that I will never marry anybody else but this guy.
Oh, really? You said that?
I told him this. I was sold out. Yeah. I'm in love with this guy, and no other guy will ever make me feel the way this one does. So I told him things that were detrimental for my future, not knowing that he was going to be my husband. And then Justin also realized that, my gosh, I'm obsessed. I'm actually obsessed with this guy, and this guy is no good. I need to be taken out of this relationship. So his mission was, okay, let me get close to Reddie and get her out of this toxic relationship. So I am trying to save a sister here, and in that, he was coming as a missionary.
You think that was a wise, like, looking back?
No, it was not, because he was supposed to just do an extraction, right? But he ended up falling in love with how do they put it in these movies, top agents and whatever.
You fall in love with the target.
With the target,
When most of that, it's the assassin trying to kill the person they fall in love with, but
yeah,
it works.
No. So then he fell in love, he fell in love with me in the process, and I would not hear it. I got upset, and I'm like, why are you messing up with our friendship? I don't want to hear this. I'm in love with this one, so why are you even bringing that up? And so he backed off the first time, and then I started noticing some things about him, because my pastor kept trying to matchmake us from the pulpit. So you'd be like, yeah, you Sister Reddie, out of nowhere, you Sister Reddie, you think your uncircumcised boyfriend is better than our guys in the church. So then he would mention Justin and another guy. So the other guy that he mentioned had a crush on me, but he was younger than me and I wasn't interested. So you'd mention Justin and this guy.
He would say this from the pulpit?
From the pulpit. He did it several times. He was like that.
Church was a different beast back in the day.
I tell you, and I sat in front. So
we did that today.
And I was strong. I never took offense, because I'm tough like that, and I never left church.
Yes.
So I'll just look down. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're embarrassing me. But yeah, my uncircumcised Philistine is better than the guys in the church. That was my comeback to myself. I'm like, he is better. So that's it. And I was proud. I was proud like that. And so I was having issues with uncircumcised Philistine, right? But still holding on. The relationship had ended, but I'm still holding on because I believe this is a guy I'm going to marry. Come rain, come sunshine. So I'm praying, I'm fasting, okay? I'm praying, I'm fasting.
Was there anything someone could have just said that would have just woken you up?
No, nothing. My friends tried.
Yes.
My friends tried. And this is the thing I just want to tell everybody out there. This thing that we do where we want a fleece, a Gideon's fleece. God, if this is the right guy, then do this. Then I want to see this.
I think a lot of people do that. I know
dangerous,
the temptation, very
because
easy.
The enemy can give you a fleece, and I was given quite a lot of them.
For this man, this
uncircumcised Philistine. So I would say, God, if so-and-so is the guy that I'm going to marry, let him come wearing a blue shirt and a striped tie today. And he would come wearing a blue shirt and a striped tie. And I'm like, confirmation. That's the one. I did it several times, and it would be true like that. So I was convinced beyond a shadow of doubt that this is the guy. The heavens have spoken. My heart testifies. So who are you to tell me otherwise?
Yeah.
It was bad. And I would tell Justin all these things. I would tell Justin because he was a good listener.
Yes.
He was always a good listener. So I'm pouring my heart out to Justin, telling him how much I'm in love with this guy and this and that and the other. In the meanwhile, Justin is in love with me. And he can't say anything because I just...
The daggers in his heart.
Imagine. And then he got to know that I love music. I also love poetry. So then that's how he wormed his way to my heart using those things. And my friends as well started saying, but Reddie, Justin is actually a nice guy. Why don't you consider him? I was like, oh, get out of here. Including my best friend who had left the church, who once had a crush on Justin. Okay. She was like, but Reddie, Justin is also a nice catch for you. Why don't you consider him? I'm like, you're out of your mind. Never. That's how I was. And so because Justin is kind of like having this boy next door thing going on about him. He had this boy next door thing. As much as James Bond, you're a boy, you're a kid, what can you tell me? And also in terms of income, I earn more than you.
Yeah.
I've got my own place. You still stay with your parents. I'm driving, okay, company car, but at least you don't even have your driver's license. So when it comes to income and possibility of looking after me, dude, I'm gonna have to look after you. You know, I have to pick you up to go on a date. I don't want that.
Sure.
I don't want that. So I just dismissed him. But he had this boy next door thing going on about him, the poetry, the music, you know, and the way he talked, you know, he had this soft nature about him. He was kind, he was pleasant, something that I wasn't exactly getting from the James Bond and Circumcised Philistine. So I remember it was in 2004. Yeah, 2004. It was Easter weekend. He was playing a chess tournament at one of the schools close to where I lived. So after his tournament, he decided to pop by my flat to say hello. And he came bearing gifts. Came with these huge hollow Easter eggs and some poetry, you know. And in that poetry, in that poem, he was kind of like telling me how much he loves me, you know, kind of thing. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And my heart started softening. You know, I'm like, okay, whilst I'm waiting for the uncircumcised Philistine, let's while up time with Justin. I know that's bad. Hey, I was
That's on recording, right?
I was working out my salvation in fear and trembling, okay?
So Pastor Justin became a fill up the time, you know, like when you're when you're waiting for the new season of your favorite series, you kind of find some secondhand series just to fill up the time until the new season comes out. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was a different breed then, you know.
I can see so.
I was a different breed then. So Justin was just fill up the gap, you know, whilst I wait for this one to come round. And
maybe even make him jealous so he comes around.
Yeah, but he didn't care.
Okay.
No, he didn't care because in his mind, Justin is not on my level, so there's no competition, really. And I'll never forget, okay, I did a lot of bad things in that relationship. So I said yes to Justin.
Yes.
And my birthday was coming up. And he, you know, like we were friends, right? So I used to talk about the things that I would want to see in a relationship, how I want to be treated.
So he knew all of it.
He knew all of it. He had all the game.
He had written it down, ready to shoot.
Yeah. So he booked a dinner date at a 5-star restaurant. And I told him I loved fireplaces, right? Fire, it's cold. So I'd love to have dinner by a fireplace somewhere, candlelit dinner by a fireplace. And I want to have this kind of music playing.
And he had it all.
He had it all. So he even took it a step further and recorded a CD. Back then, we had CDs. Custom-made CD with music.
Yeah, today we'll make a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
We'll just put it on the
So he had a playlist
send it to you.
engineered to winning me over. Every song was saying something and it was like a story. And he designed a cover for the CD.
Yeah.
Oh my word. And it had just the two of us. And then inside it was written, God who knew the intricate details of our lives brought us together. And I'm like, dude, leave God out of this. You're just a placeholder, you know?
And you're still thinking that way, eh?
I'm still thinking that way.
He's clueless.
He doesn't know. And so, guess what I did? So he told me that he was coming to fetch me at this time. I didn't know what he had planned, right?
Yes.
He just said he's coming to fetch me. And I'm thinking, fetch me how? And go away. It's my birthday. So I call my girls. I'm like, come fetch me. We'll come watch movies by your place. And that'll be my birthday done. I want to spend time with my girls. I'd rather do that than go anywhere else. So I left, and my sister was staying with me at the time. So Justin came, and my sister's like, Reddie's gone. She's gone with the girls. So he left the gifts at the house, and he was charged at the restaurant because you had reserved a table. It wasn't Valentine's, it was for my birthday, but still because you reserved a table, and he had requested them to play certain songs whilst we were having dinner. And a special table had to be put by the fireplace because he's trying to impress Reddie, and Reddie never showed up. That's how bad I was. That's how messed up I was.
And, yeah.
I was messed up, okay? I was messed up because in my head, no, I'm only marrying that guy. You've been on my case and you're coming with all these nice things, acting all cool and charming.
But you just...
But, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, entertainment. At least then I don't stress too much about the uncircumcised.
Do you think girls are more afraid to be alone than guys? Do you think like so I heard someone once say, so I'm not saying it's true, I've heard it said that kind of the idea of girls are more afraid to be alone, and girls will often, if they're in a relationship that they want to get out of, before they get out of it, they'll wait until there's an option, another relationship lined up for them.
No, not really. No, okay. That's not true. No, we don't do that. And in terms of being afraid of being alone, before you get into a relationship, you are happy to wait it out for as long as you need to. And then once you've been in a relationship, the minute you feel like this is going nowhere, you are not afraid to let go of the person and be on your own than to carry on putting up with nonsense.
So then why did you use Pastor Justin as a place marker?
Because he was nice.
But maybe was it because you didn't want to be alone?
No. He was doing all these nice things that I wished the uncircumcised Philistine did. But
you still were convinced that he's not the real deal in the end.
Yeah. But for me, it was like, wow, this is nice. I want to experience this. Okay, I've never had a dude who does these things. I want to experience them.
Okay.
So let me have the experience.
But then you still went and messed up and didn't even enjoy the experience.
No, I messed it up. Not once, by the way. I did it several times. I remember the one time I wasn't into clubbing and all those things. I wasn't exposed to that, but my friend was. So we decided to go to a beach party. I mean, we're in Zim. Where do you get beaches? But there were these places where they would have beach parties. They would put beach sand, palm trees, just create the ambience, you know. So she's like, let's go to a beach party, and you come in your bikinis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't take it that far. I just had the top, but I was wearing jeans, and so my friend was pursuing this guy. So she would not leave until she got that guy's attention. So we were constantly following this guy around from a distance and stuff like that. And I was kind of getting bored, but I was, I'm sticking with it because of the friend. And then Justin called, wanting to know where I am. So I didn't want to answer at first. And then I eventually answered. And he's like, where are you? Where's all this noise?
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm at a beach party with my friend, but we'll be leaving soon. And then he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to leave anyway. So... oh, can I see you? No, you can't. It's late. And I just kind of, put him off. And then he got his boys and they came to the beach party.
He got his boys.
He got his boys and they came. And then the next thing he calls them outside. Oh, no. Dude, why come and cramp my style?
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't want to be seen with you here. You're too nice for these things, And I had a few sips. So he comes and then he's looking at me. He's shocked at... how I look, God, I mean, he's a pastor. He's wanting a woman who's modest. And I'm not dressed modestly right now. I'm wearing a bikini top and jeans, and my makeup is so extravagant,
Yeah.
So then he's asking me questions and I'm like, why are you interrogating me? You don't own me. It's like, do I smell booze on your breath? Were you drinking? So what if I was? I'm at a party. People do that at a party. I was very... dismissive, and he was disappointed and he left. I didn't care, I didn't care. And of course that communicated several messages to him.
Okay. And did you guys break up after this?
Oh, we used to break up almost every week.
Oh, so something like this would be a breakup and then back together again a week later.
We used to fight a lot because I was headstrong, very headstrong, and I was very opinionated and stuff like that. And he would challenge my thinking, and I never wanted anybody to challenge me on anything. So then we would fight, break up, 2 days, 3 days, then we're back together again.
Sure.
It was volatile, and his spiritual parents were like, no, this is not the girl for you. She's not going to be a good pastor's wife. His friends were like, no, Justin, you're wasting your time with this chick. She is too independent in her thinking. And I didn't care, because remember, I'm not doing this for keeps. You're just a placeholder. So I don't care how I treat you. I don't care what people think of me in this relationship, because I'm not staying. So, and I was even... upholding the same attitude towards his parents, and which is so countercultural, because our culture dictates that you must be modest, you must be, what's the word? Respectable, you must honor, you must be decent, you must be all these amazing things, right?
Okay.
And you must greet. So when I would come to his house, I never went inside because I don't want to meet your parents in my head. I don't want to meet your parents. I'm not going to be their future daughter-in-law. So
you already knew.
Yes, I already knew.
Because you already knew, hey, this is just
so I don't want to know your family because I'm not staying.
Treating it like a temp.
Exactly. And so I'll just wait outside, I would hoot. So he must come out, like, come in. So the one time I come in, my granny wants to meet you. I'm like, never. Your granny must not attach to me,
So I want to... I want to put this angle. If you had to counsel you at this stage in life, like just give me a snapshot of what you would try to say to a younger you in this moment, because I'm sure there's people that are in these similar situations, or in more complicated situations.
You see, I would not receive counsel.
But let's say you went for counseling.
I did go.
Oh, you did.
That's why I'm saying.
Oh, you wouldn't receive.
Remember, I went to my pastor.
Yes.
That's how he knew about my circumcised Philistine, and he was against it, and he.
But now we're talking about you and Pastor J.
Okay.
In this whole
Okay.
Cool, like let's say like a younger you just came and told the older you all this. Like, this is where I'm at. I'm with this guy, but it's a temp, and this is how I'm feeling about it.
I would be like, no, you don't do that. Don't mess around with someone else's heart, because you are gonna get hurt as well. As much as you think you have protected yourself, because that's what I thought, right?
Yes.
I thought I'd guarded my heart. Justin is not gonna penetrate, and nothing he can do will ever break my heart, because my heart belongs to somebody else. And I was very selfish in how I conducted myself, but I did get heartbroken in the end. Yeah, badly. And it wasn't fair.
Justin.
Yes, and it wasn't fair on him either, because I was playing games with his heart. I'll never forget, and that was a regret for me. The one time he was pouring his heart out, and I could see, wow, this guy is smitten. Hey, this guy is in deep. He really is in love with me, and he's pouring his heart out and telling me all these things, that I've always wanted to hear, but not from him, right? So he says all these things, and I was like, oh wow, so this is deep. This is how deep he is gone, and I'm not there, right? And the following week, I go hook up with my uncircumcised Philistine. And he finds out that shattered his world, so that turned something in him. Yeah, that turned something in him. And then after that, he realized that this chick here is playing games with me. So she wants to play, I'm going to play as well.
Oh, so it almost became a tit for a tat.
Yes, yeah, it became that. And such that when he came to South Africa, he came to Cape Town for a conference, and he ended up preaching. He wasn't supposed to. He ended up preaching. He was asked to so his pastor gave the slot to him.
Sure.
Yeah. And he wowed them, hey? He wowed them big time. And one of the elders' daughter fell in love with him, and they started something, because as far as he was concerned, before he left, I'd say to him, you know what? You and I are over. So you're going to South Africa, don't go there thinking you've got a girlfriend in me. It's over. And because in my head, he's gone for a month. By the time he comes back, I'll be completely over him, and I won't want anything to do with him, and he'll be over me as well. Yeah. So life carries on. So I thought. Right? So he comes back, and he visited because he wants to kind of like say, okay, so it is done, right? You and I are done, and he came back looking like James Bond.
Turn around.
And I wasn't happy about that, right? He even did his hair. I mean, the man used to just have a cheese cop, right? And now he's done his hair. He's got an S-curl. And he's wearing these cool shades, and he's looking like James Bond. So he comes to my flat, right? I'm staying with my sis, and I'm in the room, and he's sitting in the lounge. And then my sister goes, Justin is here. And she's like, oh my gosh, he looks so different. I'm like, oh, please. He's just been gone for a month.
Yeah.
It was less than a month. I'm like, oh, please. She goes, he looks nice. I'm like, you're right. You just haven't seen him in a long time. And I walk out. I had to have a double take.
Sure.
I'm like, what? What happened here? So for him, it's like we're double clicking on it's over. Yeah. So we like really sealing it. I'm here to say, yeah, it's over. You and I are going to be friends. I look at him. Okay, I wasn't looking bad myself, because I also got my hair done, In my head, I'm going to make it difficult for you to say goodbye. But I'm ready to say goodbye. And then I see the man. I'm like, oh wow, you look so cool. Because again, looks are everything for me at that time. He looked so amazing. And I'm like, I'm not breaking up with him. And he also had the same thoughts. So there was no breaking up. It was like, hello, I've missed you.
I'm back, you back.
Exactly. And then I discovered there was a chick in SA. Yeah, accidentally.
That was in love with him.
That was in love with him. No, they were in a relationship. They were in a relationship. Yeah, she was supposed to visit in December. So, because for him,
a scandalous past.
Yeah. Because remember, he thinks it's over, right? So when he left, it was over. So he gets into this relationship.
But then
with
when he
this girl,
sees you, he just can't help himself.
He can't help himself because he was in love with Reddie. As much as Reddie was messing him around, he was in love with Reddie, and it all came back. And so now he doesn't know what to do. So in his head, Reddie is playing me, so So in his head, this girl from
Cape Town... He's the permanent one, you the place marking out for him.
She fits the bill, okay? She is the perfect pastor's wife. And if I'm with this girl, either we move to South Africa or I stay in Zim. And at the time, South Africa was more attractive. So he's going to carry on with that girl because that girl is serious. Reddie is not serious. Reddie is just a placeholder now. Yes. Just for having fun. So I discovered, he sent a message to me telling me how much he loves me and, doing his poetry.
Meant for?
No, he had first sent that message to the girl, and at the bottom it was, I love you, so and so. And did not delete the name.
He was going to reuse his work. He was going to
Yes. So then he sent that same message, so he had forgotten to change the addressee. So then I'm reading them like, wow, that sounds so beautiful. And then at the end, I love you, so and so. Who is so and so? Who the HE double toothpicks is so and so? So then I wanted to know. So then I asked him, I'm like, who's so and so? Oh no, he wangled his way out of it, right? But I was not a fool. I knew something was up, and he was denying it left, right, and center, but I knew something was up. And I was like, okay, cool. So I let it go. So I acted like, I know it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I was up to something myself too. So when I visited his house, remember now, okay, the family knows me. I couldn't get away from that. I looked at his phone. He wouldn't put his phone down. So I knew definitely something was up. He wouldn't leave his phone. Wouldn't.
Sure.
And I knew something was up. And I acted like I'm not noticing how he's attached to his phone, which is not normal for him. So I was very casual, very chilled, very blasé in the moment. And I made him comfortable, and he dropped his guard. And his mom called him to the room, and we were sitting in the lounge, and he just left his phone there.
And
I got the phone, and I went through his messages, and I saw a ton of messages to this girl. And I just copied her number, and I put the phone back and acted like I'd seen nothing.
And what did you do with the number?
I phoned the girl. So I went to my workplace and I called her from my landline because I didn't want her to have my number. I didn't want her to harass me. So I called her. I'm like, hey, what's going on between you and Justin? Oh, who are you? I introduced myself, and I'm like, him and I have been in a relationship for over a year now. So I want to know, who are you? I'm surprised that he's sending you love messages and you are responding, but this guy is mine. She's like, oh, no, never. He told me he does not have a girlfriend. The pastor, do you know pastor? And I'm like, I know a pastor. He's my pastor. Oh, he knows about me and he condones the relationship. I'm like, girl, I'm his girl. Okay, you better stop. I don't know what you think you're doing. You are in South Africa. I'm here. I got the dude. I was with him yesterday. I was at his house. Do you even know that? Oh, I've spoken to his mom and she likes me. And I'm like, oh, you have spoken to his mom. I've cooked for his mom.
Yeah.
They know me. So I don't know what you think is going on here. You're wasting your time. So, of course, after that, she calls Justin. She's crying. She's unhappy. And then she tells him she doesn't want to see him because he's playing her. Justin gets upset. He phones me and he lashes out at me. You know, how dare I do this? I'm like, oh, so you're choosing. So she's the one. I'm not the one. But again, you know, when God has got his hand on something, we broke up because of that.
Yeah.
Lasted 3 days. No, that lasted a week. And
okay.
yeah.
And then back together.
I was heartbroken there. I don't want to lie. So, I cried. I went and I drank a glass of Mainstay.
Is that alcohol?
Yes, it's a spirit. It's a whiskey or something. I think it's a whiskey, right? Yeah, it's a whiskey. It's a colorless one.
I just know JBL.
So my friend I was sharing a flat with a friend who used to have a cabinet, and I went and I took some and I just poured into a glass. You're supposed to mix it with stuff. I didn't even mix it with anything. I just drank it like that. I got so sick because I was so upset. So then I realized that, oh, hang on, I am in love with this guy.
Yeah.
Say what I want, but I am in love with this guy. Why is this bothering me so much, you know? And that's when I realized, okay, my heart has turned.
And where's the uncircumcised Philistine in this whole story? He's
still there. He's still in the background. He still hasn't put his act in order. When he feels like it, he calls me, you know, that kind of thing.
And you would answer though?
Oh yeah, I would answer because remember, I've lied to myself that this is the guy I have to marry, right? Some lies that I had believed, some vows that I'd made to myself. That is what was keeping me bound, but there was nothing in that relationship that was worth fighting for. And God needed to deal with me, which he eventually did. And
I want to move on to the marriage part, but I just want to know, do you know the number of times you and Pastor J broke up?
Too many to count, because we were in a relationship for about 3 years.
So in that space, give me a rough number.
Oh no, Joe, we used to break up every month. So do the math.
Yeah.
So probably 30 some more times. But the breakup never lasted. The longest was when he was here in South Africa. We broke up for 3.5 months. That was the longest breakup. Prior to that was the week. Remember before it used to be like 3 days. And then we're back together again. You know, like we miss each other terribly and then we're back together again.
So what would you say to someone who's listening to this and be like, well, they're married now, they're happy, they have kids, so, you know, date however. It looks like it works out in the end when it's the right person.
No, it
right
doesn't.
person, right? You know,
it doesn't. Out. It doesn't. I know that it was grace for us.
Okay.
Because I know friends who kind of had things similar to us, but they didn't make it.
Yes.
They did not make it. Remember, grace is not...
unearned favor.
Yeah. And it is not guaranteed. Because God will extend grace to whomever he wants to extend grace. I'm not talking of the grace to be saved. I'm talking of grace for situations. Yes. So there are some situations when he lifts his grace, you know. So for us, we did not deserve the grace, but yet he extended his grace to us. I don't know. You know, it's that whole thing. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. You know, it's just him. We didn't do anything spectacular. I mean, I was a mess and he had his own mess, you know. Yeah. But through it all, because God, knowing the intricate details of our lives, kind of felt like this can work and I'm going to use this to help others because the world is messed up. Because if everything is squeaky clean and everybody's spick and span, you can't relate with the ones that are in a mess. So I thank God for what we went through. I would not want to repeat it. Yeah, okay. I've often said to Justin, honestly, we went through so many detours to get to each other.
You went via Durban to get to Cape Town.
Exactly. I would rather take the straight route. You know, this this 40 years in the wilderness kind of thing, when it can take 3 months, I don't want that. But at the same time, I am the wiser for it. Okay. I learned some lessons. God dealt with things that needed to be dealt with so that I could be eligible for marriage to Justin, so that I could come to a place where I say, I want nobody else.
Speaking of marriage, I want you to talk about some of the initial struggles of marriage in general, but I also I'm interested to see how your dating and the way you guys dated, which we only tapped on, maybe brought struggles into the marriage, or maybe helped you deal with struggles in a marriage in a better way than normal people go through.
Yeah. So it brought struggles.
Okay.
Because we had trust issues. Remember, I wasn't completely honest with Justin and I wasn't faithful.
Yes.
My heart was somewhere else, but I was professing to be with him.
Even into marriage now.
So no.
Yeah.
I've always said I never marry for anything but love.
Yes.
So I eventually came to a place where I fell in love with Justin. And there was
but he wasn't convinced of that.
Not fully. Yes. And I didn't know that. I only found out 7 years later. 7 years into marriage, that's when I found out that, hang on, he still believes
that you still have
there are some skew foundations in this, that he has held on some beliefs. Because remember, before we started dating, I used to say stuff about this uncircumcised Philistine to him. So he believed those things because I was very sincere. And when I finally came round, he wasn't fully convinced, because in his mind, there is no way a girl would love like that and then just be...
let go.
Yeah, but it was a God thing. I couldn't on my own, to be honest. And I came to God and I said, Lord, I don't know what this thing is with Justin, but if you can make me love Justin more than I love the uncircumcised Philistine, then I'm your girl. Because there's no way I can be serious with Justin when I'm still in love with someone else. And I've told you, I'll only marry for love, nothing else. And right now, I feel my heart is with the uncircumcised. So if you can make me love Justin more than the uncircumcised, then I'm your girl.
Okay.
And he did that.
Yeah.
So that was a supernatural thing that God worked in my heart. And a supernatural thing is usually experienced by the one experiencing it. Other people don't see it happening. It was an invisible work. So for him, he wasn't fully convinced that, no, she has fully come round. So the way we dated created a lot of issues that we went into marriage with and we had to deal with. And it came to a head 7 years into marriage. So 7 years into marriage, the D word came. The D word.
So you almost got divorced.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened? Because I understand there's a trust issue in Pastor Jay. He doesn't quite trust you fully for him. Yeah. I don't know. Was the uncircumcised Philistine like in the picture?
So what happened was, so remember we're in ministry. Yes. He's a pastor. I was also ordained as a pastor, but he's more in it than I am.
Yes.
Because I'm working for Stendon at that time.
Okay, so you're working outside the church.
I'm working outside. So we were having issues with that because the job that I did required me some weekends going to schools.
Okay, so it was
marketing.
Hey, not that, hey, this guy's around and I don't trust you with him.
He
it's
just
like,
did not
I just don't
trust
you
me in
around
general
people.
because he believed that I was like a celebrity. So he later on confessed that he had told himself marrying Reddie is like marrying a celebrity. Anything can happen.
Wow.
Because that's the type of girl that she is. She is the life of the party. She is extroverted. She's all over the show. And she is too friendly with everybody. So anything can happen. So at Stendon, remember, we used to have a lot of Dutch students that came.
Yes.
And these young boys would give you a hug and kiss you on the cheeks to say hello. He had a problem with that.
Yes.
And my being away from home because of work. And because I was the marketing person, I had to write newsletters on the life of students on campus. So if they had parties, events, I had to be present so that I can write newsletters on them.
Sure.
Take photos and all those things.
Yes.
So students have their events when? At night. So then he's in an elders meeting. I can't be in an elders meeting. I have to be at Stendon.
At a party.
At a party. Taking photos with
young
the students.
boys.
Yep.
And girls.
Yes.
Living their life.
So that caused problems. And I would dress up for those things. Oof. And remember, I did modeling, right?
Yeah.
So I walked a certain way, presented myself a certain way, dressed a certain way. That caused problems, and I could not understand why. I didn't know that at the core of his belief about me was this lie that I'm that type of a girl. If something else comes, I'm going to go.
And was there anything you had that you believed about him that also caused issues?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I kind of believed that not everything he tells me is true, you know, because you were professing your undying love. Of course, I was a hypocrite. I want you to be sincere, even though I'm being insincere myself. You know, that's how it was. So then I found out that you were lying to me. So now how can I trust what comes out of your mouth?
And was this just about that Cape Town girl or the other things that
Other
happened?
things as well, you know, other things as well. And also I always felt like I was the soiled dove in the relationship. You know, I did not have my cards in a row. I did not toe the line. And Alice, you know, I had a lot of baggage, you know, than he did. I was his first girlfriend.
Sure.
Okay, I was his first girlfriend, and apart from the crushes at school and
we don't count those.
We don't count those. I was his first girlfriend, and here I am, and I'm not the favorite, you know, according to the church, and then I mess around, and I just.
To what level do you think, and you can say whether it's good or bad, and how it all works, but what level do you think outside pressures and expectations of relationships have a role to play?
A lot. Because there was a time when, because people always said stuff, right?
Yeah.
Against me. The only people that were for me were my friends. All his friends were against the relationship. His mom was against the relationship. Even though she smiled and was nice.
Yeah, but moms tend to be like that.
Yes, yeah. But she also felt like, no, it's just for now. When it comes to marriage, not this one. She's too independent. She's too this. Because I had my own stuff, right? Yeah. So there was a lot of pressure, more for him than for me, because he was in ministry already. He was in ministry already, and when you're a pastor, people expect you to marry a certain kind of a girl, and I did not fit that profile at all. You gotta know something about ministry. You gotta be involved in ministry. You gotta present yourself a certain way, and you gotta be this, you gotta be that, and I was none of that. So there was a lot of pressure on him against our relationship. You know, so at every turn they're like, we don't think Reddie's the right girl for you. So that works on a guy, which is why when he chose that girl in Cape Town, for him,
it made sense because everyone was for
it. Yeah. So there was a lot of pressure, and we were carrying that pressure without even knowing it, without even knowing that there's outside influence here that is detrimental to the survival of this relationship. And I remember when he left for South Africa, I remember one of his best friends saying to him, well, Reddie, you got to play it by ear now. Anything can happen. You know, this long distance thing doesn't work. Sure. So if I were you, I wouldn't really be holding my breath on this, you know. So there was a lot of pressure. And unfortunately, because these things were happening in the background, we're not even aware when we got married that we've got stuff that we need to deal with. 7 years into marriage, that's when the popper hit the fan. 7 years into marriage. How? What happened? The uncircumcised Philistine happened. Yeah, so the uncircumcised Philistine found me on Facebook, made an alias, and befriended me on Facebook and started saying stuff. So I wasn't interested in him at all. So he felt, Reddie will always love me. She's professed that. I kind of feel like it's time to come back into Reddie's life. I don't care that she's married with kids. I want Reddie back.
Sure.
So he maneuvered his way in and caused a lot of issues. So now imagine for my husband, this was his number one nemesis. This is the guy that he was fully convinced that if this guy came back anytime, Reddie's gone. Because of what Reddie used to say. And now the guy is here. And the way he did it was in such a sneaky way that it put me in a bad light. Because remember, he had an alias. He used my maiden name. So he used my maiden name as his surname, and he put a profile picture of someone random that kind of looked like my dad's side of the family. So when I thought it was an uncle, because I don't know all my family, from my dad's side. So we're sharing the same surname, and I'm thinking, this is a relative. So that's how he befriended me on Facebook. And then he starts saying certain things, in my inbox. And I'm like, so I'm like, okay, so which relative are you? Which uncle are you? Because we don't really know each other, And then he said stuff that was very questionable, and I'm like, how dare you talk to me like that? And then it's like, I can talk to you like this because I know you like this. And I'm like, who are you? And then he says, promise me that when I tell you who I am, you're not going to delete me. So I did not think it was the uncircumcised Philistine. I'm like, what? Who is playing games here? Then I said, no, I won't. Who are you? And then he told me who he was. Oh my word. And all hell broke loose. So I just deleted it. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with you. I just don't want, because I know this relationship caused issues back then. What more now that I'm married? And you know what he did? He had already befriended Justin and a lot of my family and my other friends. This whole thing with Facebook, friend of a friend, so you just accept. Yeah. So Justin put a picture of Jesse and I, and he made us a very catty comment on the post. It's like, that kid looks like me. So it's in the morning, Justin's getting ready to come to work, and then he's like, Reddie, I know you and I are married and the kids share your blood as well, but can your relatives not say certain things on a public domain, please? Your uncle does not have to say that kid looks like him. Where is he getting that from? I'm like, my uncle. Which uncle? And then he said the name. My heart sank. I couldn't say anything. So I left him leave the house, and then I sent a message, say, oh no, that's not my uncle, that is the uncircumcised Philistine.
Sure.
He made a U-turn, came back home, and never went to work for the next 2 weeks. Because we had to deal with stuff. And it was the worst time of our marriage. But the best, because of what God did. That's when all the issues came out, discover that, this is what you think about me. That's what you thought about me. And then God in the end just said to us, you need to be completely honest with each other. Tell each other everything that ever happened to you from the time you were born to date. Every person that ever liked you, kissed you, had a crush on you, made a pass at you, everything, so that nobody's going to come from the past to make a claim. Because this guy started saying things. I mean, he's a man, so he knows how to get to another man. He said things that were, that hit below the belt to my husband. And it caused a lot of cracks. We had to bring our spiritual parents in. It got so bad that I had to delete, put a message on Facebook. And a disclaimer to say, listen, there's this person who's trying to destroy my life, and if he asks you to be a friend, please do not accept. If he sends you any attachments, do not open, because he had downloaded all my photos and he had doctored them into nude pics. And he sent to my husband, sent to my uncle, sent to my brother, sent to my sisters, and he was like, if I don't get you, I'm going to make sure that your marriage does not work until you come back to me. So he did everything in his arsenal to make sure that he destroyed me. And so luckily I found out, because the first person he sent the photo to was my husband. And Justin was like, but really, this girl looks like you. This girl is just like you. So luckily I've had an operation. I had an op, so I've got a scar that
proved it wasn't
me. And also my toes as much as I hated my toes, they were my saving grace.
Toes to the save.
They saved me because I'm like, she does not have knob caries on her toes. So he took some Brazilian porn, whatever, and he put my face there. So that was I'm like, look at her toes. Those are not my toes. That's how I escaped that, because this guy was like, oh, I used to take photos with Reddie like this. I'm like, I never did that. But then how do we know? How do we know?
Especially when you don't trust someone.
Exactly.
The doubt will always be that 10% of, but what if, maybe.
Yeah, and when people are tech savvy, they can do anything. Like now, AI can make anything, right?
Oh, AI would be
think
worse.
It's that?
Oh,
so I don't know how he did it. He had a chat history of our conversation from a week prior to when I actually spoke to him. I only spoke to him once in one evening, and then I deleted, right? But he had a chat history going as far back as the previous week. How? I have no idea. And in that chat history, I was being amicable. I was in agreement with what he was saying and all these things. And so he's saying to my husband, she's lying to you. She's always been mine. She's always been mine, and she's coming to me. So imagine how a man feels when he hears that. So it was really hectic. We even got lawyers involved. That's how bad it goes.
Sure.
Because this guy was really on a warpath. And so we didn't know where he was. We just knew that he was in Joburg, right? And so when we asked for advice, legal advice, and they were like, you need to know where this person is. You cannot fight with someone whose location you are unclear of, and you don't even know where to find them. So it's difficult. It's like fighting a ghost. So he made the mistake in his bragging. He sent a video to my husband, because Justin was like, you are a lunatic, you are this, you're that, you're deranged, and all those things. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I am in my perfect sense. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then he's like, would a deranged person be able to do this? So he sends a video of him being interviewed by an economic analyst about the markets in Southern Africa and in Kenya and those places, because that was his line of work. Yeah. And so he's speaking and he's, and then he's like, no, I'm a go-getter. I'm on top of my game. Da, da, da. And so there was a strap line with the company that he worked for. So that's how my husband could find him. Google Earth helped. So he located where he worked, got their contact details, phoned his office, and he wasn't in at the time, and then just left a message to his partner, like, tell this guy to stay away from my wife or else it's going to get rough.
Yeah.
And then Justin inboxed him and like, listen, I know where you work, I know where you are. My boys are going to do a drive-by. Yeah, my boys are going to do a drive-by. You live in Joburg. You know Joburg life. My boys are going to do a drive-by. That's how he backed off. It's like, oof, it looks like the lion has finally come out. You've put your boxing gloves on. I'm backing off. But it was horrid. It was horrid. And then after that, we had to deal with the aftermath.
So was that like the end of this?
The uncircumcised Philistine, yes. But he had threatened, and it was like, he's coming to Port Alfred. I know where you are. I'm coming to Port Alfred. It's a very beautiful town, and I can enjoy myself there. Da, da, da. I got so paranoid that every time I would leave my house, I would be watching my back. And if a car came to my yard, to my gate, I would be so scared that what if it's him, because he was threatening to do that. So it was ugly. It was really ugly. And my husband had to lay off pulpit duties, pastoral work for a month, because he needed to deal with what he needed to deal with. We were in a bad space. It got horrid. It got horrid. This is just saying the half of it.
Given everything it's just said, how do I phrase this question? What do you think? What do you think were? Because when you think about what makes a relationship last or work, like trust is number one on everyone's list. And that wasn't even in the picture. What do you think were the key things that allow? How long have you been married now?
18 years on the 26th.
Okay, so this all went down year 7. So you've been 99 years post this.
Yes, not 9, 11.
11, sorry, bad maths. 11 years post this.
Yeah.
What do you think were some of the key things that has allowed your marriage to get to this point of 18 years, but more directly through that? Because I don't think many relationships would get through the initial thing, and you add this on top of what this man did and everything. Like, I can't think many relationships would make it through this. Like, what were the key things that got the relationship through this?
So first and foremost, the fact that we truly loved each other. Our love was real, and the grace of God. To be honest, the grace of God, because there were moments during that time of thrashing it where we felt we can't get past this. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. And I remember I even got suicidal at the time, because then he when I say he, my husband also had things that he had to deal with, because all along I felt like I was the naughty one, I was the bad one. I came with a lot of baggage, and unbeknown to me, there were some things that he hadn't told me about. And so when God said, after all this happened, then God said, you need to be transparent completely, because the uncircumcised Philistine had exposed something that I had not told my husband about. I told him all the other stuff, but that one, because I felt
it was just too much.
I couldn't, because the night Justin left to come to South Africa, I was so distraught and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just in a bad space, and I went to see the uncircumcised Philistine. And by then, Justin and I are serious, right? He's now coming to South Africa. He's leaving me behind, and I was in a bad space emotionally, and I needed some emotional comfort. So I went to see the uncircumcised Philistine. And then, and that was the last time I ever saw him, right? So as far as Justin was concerned, the last time I had seen this uncircumcised Philistine was the previous year. So there's been nothing going on, but I went that day and I never told him about it. And so when all this is going on with the uncircumcised Philistine, him and Justin are exchanging words and saying stuff, and he's throwing things at my husband, and my husband is like, you're lying, Reddie would never do that, da, da, da. And of course it was all fabricated except the one thing. And then it's like, oh, did she tell you that I saw her the day you left for South Africa? So if you guys were so in love, how come she still came to me? And just like, what?
Little truth.
So then Justin comes back, and then he's like, he's saying all these things. You know, I'm like, not true, not true, not true. And then he mentions that. And I'm like,
that's true.
That is true. I did go. So now he's finding out 7 years later. What? So then now, how can I trust you, girl? How can I trust you? Because all along, and I'm like, it never really came up. You never really confronted me with it. And as much as I blit out things, I just did not want to blit that one out. So I kept it hidden. But it is true. I'm owning up now. So that just tanked the trust, whatever, fabric that was left. Frayed until there was absolutely nothing. And remember, you already had this core belief, this lie that I cannot be trusted, and here is no evidence, and he had to find out via the uncircumcised Philistine, and it made him question everything else I was telling him. That how do I know that this is the only thing? What about all the other things that this guy has said?
Sure.
How? And I'm like, but why would I own up to only this and not the others?
Yeah, I suppose that worked in your favor.
So I can lie about everything else. But a lot of stuff happened. The enemy was really out to destroy us, Joel. Like, there were things that were happening that I could not even explain. And it's like, but what about this? And I'm like, but I didn't do that. But, like search engine, like this thing, we didn't know that your phones are listening when you're talking.
Yeah.
So we will be talking, and then certain things will just come up when you open my phone. And then it's like, why is this coming up? If you haven't contacted this person, I'm like, it was hectic. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I didn't know how to defend myself any longer. And then the Lord arrested me and just said, Reddie, you have believed a lie as well. You have not forgiven yourself for something that happened between you and the uncircumcised Philistine, and that lie has kept you holding on to that ugly relationship. And you are here now, you have let go, but you have never forgiven yourself for what happened in that relationship. And you need to forgive yourself before we can even deal with anything else. And then God was also dealing with Justin. So like when I discovered stuff that he had not told me, for me, it felt as real as you did it today. Stuff that happened when we're still dating, but for me, it felt like you did it now. And I was mad as hell. He was also mad as hell. And remember, God has said we have to be completely honest, tell each other everything. So in telling each other everything, that's when I found out about, hang on, there was this and there was that. I'm like, all along you made me believe that I was the messed up one. Yet you dragging a few bottles, or a few bags here. And that made me mad. But we had to go through that. And you know how it happened? Every time we were reminded of something that we needed to be open about, our stomachs would run, literally. It was like a physical and a spiritual deliverance that was taking place. So if I saw him rushing to the toilet, then I just knew something is coming. If he saw me rushing to the toilet,
you were about to share something crazy.
Something crazy. Or maybe
that's
not
crazy
so crazy
in itself as a story.
Yeah. So now imagine you are going as far back as you can remember. I so-and-so did this. I kissed this one. I like that one. Having to remember every person and their names, so that nobody will have a stake in us ever again, like what this uncircumcised Philistine had done. So it was hard. It was hard hearing certain things. I'm like, huh? So and so? You know? And you want to kill somebody, it was hectic. It was really, really hectic. And our kids were little, right?
Yes.
And we did not have help. So we need to deal with this. We are not in a good space, but we still need to be parents to our little kids. So in the morning, get up, make breakfast for the kids, and just plonk them in front of the telly. Put some animation, something that they can watch, and we go and deal with our issues. Oof. It was hectic.
And So one of the big things I think is the difference between being honest when someone asks you something and being transparent and open with your life.
Yeah, there's a very big difference.
Do you think what you guys had to go through, do you think it's like just being so honest and raw about everything that happened in the past is something every couple should go through as a married couple? Or not maybe to the extent that you went through it?
Not to the extent that we went through it. Ours was necessary because of what God wanted to do in us, the deep work that he wanted to do. So we can never cookie cut, you know. Every relationship is different. And there was a time when we were prescribing it. So we prescribe it when we see certain things in the relationship.
Okay.
So when we see that there's some trust issues here and people are not even sure why they don't trust, then we ask them to be transparent about where they've been and what they've done, so that trust can come into the relationship. So it's not something we say every couple must do, because for some couples it's not necessary.
I suppose if you, given your guys' story, it would be different if you had your thing with the Philistine, the man, and then that had ended, and you had met Pastor Jay, and that was just a relationship in the past that never kind of popped its head. We wouldn't really need to go into big details on what happened. Kind of just say, I had the relationship with the guy, it's over.
So you see, if the Philistine had never come, we probably would have dragged ourselves through the marriage with trust issues.
But I'm saying like if your story was different, as in you dated him, broke up with him, and then met Pastor Justin, your husband, dated him, kind of thing. So there was never the mix-in the relationship, the pre-marriage relationship. Then would you say like you would just be like, hey, I dated this guy, we ended it,
no, certainly.
and that would kind of be okay.
Yes, yeah,
you wouldn't have to go into the gory details of the relationship.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on what you're dealing with, because sometimes it is necessary, so that the person knows why you are the way you are. And why you react the way you react to certain things. It sheds some light on the path that one has walked on, but not everybody can survive that. So which is why it has to be Holy Spirit led, like it was for us. Yeah, if it's not Holy Spirit led, you will pack your bags and go, because I was ready to do that. I remember that night I was suicidal, and I was thinking, you have hurt me. Even though this happened when we were still dating, I'm so hurt, because all along I believed this, and I'm discovering this, and you treated me as though I was the mess, and yet you also had your own. And that betrayal messed me up, and I was thinking to myself, I mean, this is what happens when you get dark in your thoughts, right? I was thinking to myself, I'm just going to slit my wrists and make sure there's blood everywhere, so that when he comes back, he's going to find blood everywhere and you will never forget that. So in my mind, that's how I'm going to fix you, because I'm so mad. I'll be dead, but still, that's how I was thinking. It was bad. And when I told him my intentions, he got angry, and he's like, you know what, if that's how you want to roll, get out. So I just get out of my house, just go, you can't live here with me. And I'm thinking, get out? Me? I should get out? It's like, well, if you don't, I will. And then I was like, wow, this is now really serious. This is really serious. And I know if I walk out of that door, I'm not coming back. Or if he does, he's not coming back. And that's not how you deal with stuff like this. The enemy is just waiting for one of us to walk out. And so I phoned our spiritual parents, and I told them what was happening on the ground, because they were tracking with us, right? And I'm like, this is where it has come to. And they just said, nobody's leaving that house. It's very important to have spiritual parents or a spiritual person that speaks into your space, because on your own you will make, stupid decisions that you regret. So they were like, no one leaves that house. Ready? If you have to take a sleeping pill, go and take a sleeping pill and go to bed. Wash your babies, put the babies to bed. You take a sleeping pill, because it looks like you're not going to sleep tonight with the way your head is thinking. Take a sleeping pill. I didn't have any. And go to bed, and we will talk to you in the morning. Nobody's going anywhere. And they told Justin the same. Nobody leaves. So we respect our spiritual parents. They are the voice of God in our lives. So we honored what they said. So I went to bed. and God did a work whilst we were sleeping. God did a work, and I remember when I woke up, I felt different. I felt otherwise. I'm like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to get divorced. I love him. And he felt the same. And then we sat down and we started talking, and we said, you know what? We must never mention the D word again. We must never talk of leaving. Never, ever. No matter what happens, we cannot do that to ourselves, to our children. We cannot follow in the footsteps of our parents and those who have gone before us. This is not our lot. This is what the enemy wants to do, and we are not going to give him the time of day. Yes, it's a mess, but we're going to get through this. And then our spiritual parents called later on, and it was like night and day. Night and day. When they were speaking to us, they could not believe what we were now saying compared to what we had said the previous night.
Sure.
God just came into the room and changed everything, and that I know for sure because of how I was feeling. God just came and turned something in us, and that's how we survived it for that night. That's how nobody left the house, and we said the D word will never be mentioned, and we've never mentioned it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So grace, love.
More grace than anything.
Yeah,
more grace. But remember, it starts with love, because the word says love never fails.
Yes.
So if you have love, it will not fail. No matter what is going on, it will not fail. So love was the foundation, and then the grace of God came to enable us in spite of ourselves. Yeah, in spite of ourselves.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know the exact statistics, but a lot of marriages divorce. A lot of them don't make it, and that's true for Christian marriages as it is for worldly marriages.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
So,
because I mean,
you do go through difficult
You guys
times.
went through the most.
Yeah.
You would expect a divorce.
Yes,
There's
definitely. And it
not
crossed our
many
minds.
people go through that and get divorced. Like most divorced couples don't have that crazy of a story, I don't think.
Yeah. So I would say at the end of it all, as long as you're thinking more about yourself than the other person, it's easier to walk away. As long as you're thinking about what matters to you more than what matters for the other person, you would definitely walk away. So the Lord had a talk with me, where he put me through 1 Corinthians 13. And he's like, what does it mean when love is kind and love is patient? What does it mean to not keep a record of wrongs? Why are you keeping a record? You're in this space.
And that, just to double click on that work, when you say love doesn't keep a record of wrong, we're not talking about you forgot to clean up after you made a sandwich.
No.
When your story comes to light, that takes a new light.
Exactly. So the Lord was like, why are you keeping this? Why are you holding on to this? Even if it had happened yesterday, love does not keep a record. As far as the east is from the west, that's how far I've taken your transgression. So why are you bringing these two together and making an issue? I don't make an issue about your issues. Why are you making an issue? And I remember I cried. Those guttural sobs where you just shake and no sound is coming out of your mouth because I felt it was unfair. I'm like, I've been unjustly treated here. God, you know how I have struggled with certain things being said to me and being treated like I'm a soiled dove and and yet people are dragging their own stuff and they're acting like they've got it squeaky clean. I don't care what his reasoning was. I also had my reasons, but why does it always feel like I'm the one who has to lay their life down and the other person just tramps on me and and God just took me through the cross and all those things and yeah, that's where redeeming love became so real for me. That's how the story of Hosea became so real to me, and that's why the book Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers speaks a lot to me, because the Lord was like, you are looking at your mistakes and seeing them as puny. Sin is sin. Whether you slept with one guy or 100 guys, sin is sin. Whether you stole one chocolate or 1,000,000 chocolates, sin is sin. So you are excusing, exempting, exonerating yourself based on your own justice. And your justice is nothing to me. So don't think you're better than those other people. You are the same because sin is sin. And that's when I realized that, like, wow, Lord, I thought I was better. I was this. I only did this. It's not as bad as that. I was only with that one person, but you were with 10 and and the Lord was like, no, whether you were 10 guys or one guy, it's still the same thing to me. Sin is sin. And having to walk through that path of repentance and really seeing the grace of God and his redemption for me changed a lot. And that 1 Corinthians 13, it flowed me. It flowed me, and that was my saving grace.
I think that's well, we're not going to end, but it's a great place to kind of land that.
Yeah.
How real 1 Corinthians 13's come when you have a story like yours and Pastor Justin's.
Yeah.
keep no record of wrongs.
Yeah.
It becomes a real thing when you consider the story.
Definitely.
And never failing, never giving up, and always hoping for the best, always hoping.
Yeah.
Which I suppose maybe part of what the love that got you through the trust issues was hoping for the best in each other, or hoping the best of each other.
Definitely. So it made us better, and so when, in hindsight, I'm glad we went through that.
I don't know if I'd ever be able to say that.
We are glad. We talked about it. We are actually glad that we went through that because it made us better. It made us stronger, like really strong. We thought we were, but we were not. And we got to realize how strong it made us. And it made us a powerhouse in the marriage arena. So when people come for marriage counseling, we are able to stand with surety that you can go through this. You can work this out because we've worked stuff. And it's not to say that was the end of our challenges. Yeah. No, we've gone through other things, but not as severe hectic as that one.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, not as hectic as that one. I mean, I remember, just to show you how the enemy does not play fair, 2 years ago, we went away for our anniversary, right? And it was wonderful. Things were great and all those things. And then a song played on the radio, we had a playlist. We were like, okay, let's just play some love songs on Spotify. And a song played that the artist is an artist that was introduced to me by the Philistine, right?
Yes.
So it was music that I used to listen with him. And I didn't recognize it. Yeah. Because it's been years. I don't listen to that stuff. So then Justin says, but isn't this? And I'm like, no, it can't be. I don't think so. I don't know that song. I'm not familiar. It was a duet that she did. Oh my word. When we got home, he double clicked on that and he went and looked. He's like, but it is that artist. So why were you pretending like it's not? No, that's not what I was doing. I didn't even recognize. How can you not recognize? It's a distinct voice. No one can mistake this voice. Sure. But I didn't recognize it for real. But he thought I was lying and I was trying to cover up. I'm trying to be superficial and act like everything is great, even though this thing is kind of like taking me back to those days. But for me, it wasn't. And he thought it was. And it became a big thing. What was sweet and wonderful became a big thing. By the time we got home, we were worlds apart because of that. And I'm like, geez, can this uncircumcised Philistine keep coming up and just reaching back out and taking stuff? I'm like, no ways. So we had a difficult time that week. I mean, I remember I isolated myself for 3 days and 3 nights. Yeah. Didn't eat, didn't drink for 3 days and 3 nights because I was in such a bad space because of that. And he was sticking to his guns. I know what I heard. Sure. So God had to deal with him. God had to deal with me. And then that was the time of our sabbatical. Yes. So then we went away again. And whilst we were there, God brought up other things, that another lie that he had believed because of what I had said to him all those years ago. And that lie had tarnished the way he saw certain things. And we thought we had dealt with everything, right? And we're good now. Yeah. And now this thing comes up. And I'm like, what? It's like, yes, you made this statement those years and it stayed with me. And this is how I've always felt. And this is how I've always perceived this. I could not believe it. Wow. I could not believe it. And I'm like, wow. And this was a loose statement I'd made, not realizing words are so powerful. And it had stuck with him. And we realized that there was still another trust issue that needed to be dealt with. Because I had a best friend whom I had to separate from because he felt she was not a good influence on me. And she was causing a lot of trust issues for him. So like, if your friend is doing that, how can two walk together unless they agree? That means you're in agreement with what she's doing, so you are also going to do this. And I'm like, no, And he had a friend that he was close to who was a girl, and I was like, yeah, but why are you close to this one? You can't be close to this one. This doesn't look right. So we had to choose. So it was like, okay, it's either we choose each other or we choose our friends. So I had to stop being friends with this bestie, and he had to stop being friends with this girl. But that did not deal with our trust issues until we went away during our sabbatical, and then the Lord brought it up. It's like, the reason why you stopped your friendships there was because of this issue here. And we had to deal with that, which we did. And then after that, it's like, you can be friends with your friend. It wasn't about her, it was about me and how I saw certain things. You guys can be friends again, and we picked up our friendship, and that girl became my friend, not his, and God just fixed it because we were open to what he wanted to do. And we saw how the enemy was trying to mess up with us again. We saw it clearly, that, oh, wow, this is how it's coming in and this is what the enemy is trying to do. And we set the record straight, and God came in and set the record straight and fixed something again. And yeah, so you can never fully fix things in one sitting.
Sure.
Because life is lived in seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a story of, firstly, what you do before you get married has a big impact on what happens when you are married.
Yes.
And I mean, your case, the worst case scenario, some of the people from your past, in particular one person, became a huge issue down the line because they decided they were going to ruin.
Yes.
No, it doesn't happen to everyone, but
it is
that
possible.
in itself, the issues you carried into it.
Yeah.
Then there's a story of God's grace and a real understanding or depth of Christian love, 1 Corinthians 13 love that we talk about, not the, the way we tend to think about it when we haven't gone through these extreme cases of having to love.
Yeah.
And then obviously also seeing that there's still a walking out of it from time to time.
Definitely, because we want it to be fixed once and for all, but
that's not how it.
You work out your salvation. You are daily being saved. You grow in your salvation, Scripture says. So it's the same thing. We're being saved from our former selves, and every day you're being saved from your former self. Yeah.
All right, I think I want to try and end this with a bit of a lighter note, given the severe circumstances. So what I've done is I've compiled a few just dating/marriage quotes and pieces of advice. And so I'm going to read it, and I want you to tell me if it's fire, mid, or trash.
So what do you mean by fire?
So let me describe, because all the people listening are like, what does he mean?
Yeah.
Fire is like, it's awesome, it's amazing.
Yes.
Like 100% agree with that quote, such good advice or quote. Mid means it's all right. Like there's maybe one or two things I would like put some nuances on.
Yes.
Like it's not quite getting it, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Okay.
And then trash is this is bad advice. Like
straight into the bin.
Straight into the bin.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Let's go. Number 1. A busy, vibrant, goal-orientated woman is so much more attractive than a woman who waits around for a man to validate her existence. Fire, trash, or mid?
I would say fire.
Fire. You think that's fire?
Yeah, I think it's fire. Yeah, I've seen it in my own space. Yeah. You must never wait for someone to validate your existence. The only person who validates your existence is God. Yeah.
All right, let's go for it. Don't settle for less. You deserve peace, joy, growth, and acceptance. And so you must be the same for your partner.
Fire.
You would say fire? I would disagree with you.
Say it again.
Don't settle for less. You deserve peace, joy, growth, and acceptance. And you must be the same for your partner.
What are the attributes? Joy.
Peace, joy, growth, and acceptance.
And you must be the same for your partner.
That's where I go mid.
But then it's not up to an individual to give you those. Those things come from Father. So I would say mid to trash.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say mid. I think you do deserve peace, joy, growth, and acceptance. I don't think you should try ever be that for someone else.
Yeah, that's why I say mid to trash.
Okay. The goal of dating is personal growth and not the outcome.
Trash.
Straight up trash for you.
Yeah. Growth. You use dating for growth.
It just says the goal of dating is personal growth and not the outcome. Which
No, that is trash.
Okay.
Oh, please, straight into the bin.
All right. Dating is pressure and tension. What is a date really but a job interview that lasts all night? That's a quote. I thought that was kind of a funny quote.
Oh my word! Fire.
That's fire.
Yes.
Dating is pressure and tension.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. What is a date really but a job interview that lasts all night?
Yeah, no, it is an interview that lasts all night. Definitely. That is fire.
That's fire. This one's from Dr. Zeus. People are weird. When we find someone with weirdness that is compatible with ours, we team up and call it love.
Our doctors so trust you to say that. Oh my word, we team up and we call it love. No, that's mid to trash. It's funny. That's why I give it mid. Yeah,
okay.
But otherwise it's trash.
It's not quite right.
No. We know what we call love. It's not weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I disagree.
When looking for a life partner, let's just say husband. When looking for a husband, my advice to women is date all of them. The bad boys, the cool boys, the committed something boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them.
Trash.
Oh,
yes.
You mustn't date all types to know what your type is.
Come on, kiss every frog. One of them will turn into a prince. That's not who we are. That will mess you up.
I'll mess you up.
Big time. No, you don't need that garbage. No ways.
Okay. Before you marry a person, you should first make them use a computer or slow internet to see who they really are.
Please. Trash,
really?
Trash.
I think that's a good test.
No, not with computer or slow internet. So something better.
So my version of this is you should. I never did it, but if you want to take someone on a first date, take them on a hike, and see how they handle a hike. That's my version of a slow internet.
Joel, let me tell you something. When one is determined, they will put up with anything to get what they want. So if I feel you're a good catch, I will put up with whatever I have to put up with, and I will not drop my guard down.
So there's no test really?
No, there's no test really. When you really want something, there's no test you can use.
All right, let's go a bit Bible. Cleaving, as the Bible puts it. Mm-hmm. Don't go to your parents or friends when you have trouble with your man. Rely on each other.
I would say fire to mid.
Okay.
Fire, because if you tend to run to people, they are going to give you advice based on where they are at and not really what's happening in your life, because they don't really know what God wants to do in and through you, or they don't fully understand because they are not the ones who are wearing the shoes. And then I would say, did I say fire to mid? Yeah. So mid, because you do need other people.
And I suppose your spiritual parents were a vital element in your marriage, working with.
Yeah, definitely. So you do need people. You do need people to walk with you and to help you. But it must never. But at the same time, you do need to rely on each other. So that's why I say fire to mid.
And I would say, I'd add from my side, not that I'm very experienced in marriage, but in relationships, I know friends can often take one side when you go to them with an issue and pit you against your partner and not actually help the solution. I don't know about parents.
That's true. Parents also do that from time to time.
All right. I think you might like this one. I don't know. Marriage is not just a spiritual communion. It is also remembering to take out the trash.
Fire.
Joyce Brothers. I don't know who they
Fire,
are, but
definitely. Yeah, that is true. Because if you keep the trash in the house, it's going to mess up everything. It'll become toxic and people will get sick from the trash.
It's not just the good stuff.
No, fire.
Taking out the trash.
Yeah, fire, definitely.
All right. Don't ever stop dating your wife. And don't ever stop flirting with your husband.
Fire!
Nice.
Definitely.
Oh, okay, let's see. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages.
Mid to trash.
Okay.
Yeah. So love is the foundation. Yeah, love is the foundation. So you can't say it's not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship. Friendships must stem from love.
Okay.
Not the other way around. So actually, it is altruism, what that thing is saying, that quote is saying. So having looked at it like that, it's actually trash, not even mid. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because friendships stem from love. Everything stems from love. So if we put the attribute of love above love itself, then we've got it back to front and it's not going to work. When you have love, everything becomes possible.
Okay.
So even friendships become possible because of love. Yes. So they should have, if they had done it the other way, I would have said fire. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. To keep your marriage brimming with love in the overflowing, with love in the loving cup. Whether you're wrong, admit it. Whether you're right, shut up.
Fire.
When you're wrong, admit it. When you're right, shut up.
Fire, indeed, fire.
But that's not easy to do.
It's very difficult to shut up when you're right.
Oh, this one's a good one. Whatever you tolerate during dating will multiply 10x in marriage. Marriage doesn't fix dysfunction, it reveals it all. Don't marry potential, marry reality.
Fire!
Although you have a turnaround story in this.
Yeah.
You gotta admit.
No, that's why I say grace, eh?
Grace.
That's why I say it doesn't work for everybody.
Don't test it.
No, don't test it.
If you don't get the grace,
no,
you got a problem.
might not get the grace. Yeah. You might not get the grace. Yeah.
Fire.
Definitely fire. Is that all?
There's one more.
Okay.
I thought this was fire. Although it's not fire because I don't actually agree with it, but I think it's fire because it's so interesting. The secret to a happy marriage remains a secret.
That's deep. That's deep.
I like the mystery of it, that it's not, there's no answer to figure it all out.
Yeah.
I suppose it's a question I want to say the answer is Jesus.
Yes, but we've seen people with Jesus still miss it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that is deep. That is a very deep statement. But again, it's subject to each couple. It is subject to each couple's story and journey. So for some people, their secret is Jesus. As long as they hold on to Jesus, everything works. And I feel for Justin and I, as long as we fear God, we can make this work all the way. The day we stop fearing God, we'll start putting ourselves as idols, as God. And so it's what we want that we follow, not what God says. Because remember, love is not a feeling, it's a choice. So there are times when you wake up and you don't feel like you love your partner, but because you made a choice and you made a commitment first to God and to each other, that is what keeps you grounded. So that statement is subject to each couple, depending on who they are and what they are. So for us, I'll say the secret to a happy marriage is fearing God. If you fear God, you're not going to mess around with stuff. Yeah, you're not going to mess around with stuff. So it depends. But it's still a deep statement. Yeah, so I would say fire to that statement.
Fire.
Yeah.
Secret to a happy marriage remains a secret.
Yeah, and that secret is only known by whoever holds the secret. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Cool. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
You are very welcome. And it's very interesting that there were some questions that you had threatened to ask that you never even got to because you discovered that I was a deep well.
There was lots to talk about. I never got to half the questions I had.
And things that you didn't even know existed.
I don't know if I want to know half the things I know now. But at least when Pastor J has to tune, or you have to tune me about my relationship, I can be like, But
what?
But it's not as crazy as yours.
It's not about it being crazy.
No, I'm joking. I won't do that.
Yeah, remember
But it does give me a sense of, hey, they didn't have it all figured out. I'm kind of a little okay that I don't have it all figured out either.
No, you can never have it all figured out.
Yeah.
As long as you have God, it can work, and the other person is willing to allow God in that space. Because that's the only thing I can say about us. It's because of God. We are here because of God. If we didn't know Jesus, we wouldn't be here. Because the odds were stacked against us.
Definitely.
In every way possible. So when it comes to something being God ordained, I know Justin and I's relationship, marriage is God ordained. God had a hand in it, and there's something that he wanted to do with the two of us' union. That's why we're still standing today.
I don't know. Do you think like I can take comfort, like, let's say if me and Emma are God ordained, like it'll work out no matter the challenges that come?
I don't know, because that you only know as you journey together.
Yeah.
So you never know from the outset. I didn't know. We didn't know from the outset.
Yeah.
We figured it out as we went. And you tend to figure it out after you've gone through a battle and how you survived the battle.
Yes.
That's when you know that, oh, wow, knowing me the way I know me, I would not have tolerated that. I would have walked out, but I didn't.
I wouldn't have been that forgiving,
exactly.
maybe.
So how did I manage that? Wow, it's definitely God. It's
God's
not
grace.
me, it's God. And God allowed it for a reason. So that means he's got his hand here. So let God be. Let God be. So that's how we...
It's one of those things you only know on the other side.
Exactly. You never know before.
Okay.
Gotta first cross that river.
Well, that's comforting, but not comforting for me.
But you need to be sure in yourself, you see.
Yes.
So like with us, we both were sure that we will never marry for anything else but love. And everything else, we will figure it out as we go. And for Justin, remember, he had trust issues. He felt like he was marrying a celebrity. I mean, who does that? I said to him, I would never. If I knew you were a player, dude, you are gone. I don't care. But for him, he was willing to put up with that because he was in love. Imagine that. So you see, love will make you do crazy things, right? So when you're sure about how you feel or your choice, you kind of tell yourself, the rest will figure it out as we go. Sure. And I'm willing to go through whatever I have to go through because I'm in love with the person. So thinking that your partner is a celebrity and will walk out at the first sign of...
And still being willing to...
greener pastures and still be willing to go through with it and say to yourself, we will figure it out because I love the person. That's deep, right? That's deep. So whenever floozies are trying to kind of like, be in front of my husband, I'm like, please.
Yeah. So would you say, to try to land this as like a tweetable moment, to know, how do I want to put this? how much you're willing to put up with in the other person, or how much you're willing to put up with, is probably the best indication of how likely the marriage will work, or how much you love them. You measure your love for someone for how much you're willing to put up with their nonsense.
Yeah, because that's the problem today, right? People are so selfish. I don't deserve this. I'm not going to put up with this.
I only love you if you don't do A, B, and C.
They don't have capacity, for
put up with
issues. So that's how they walk out. But if you have capacity to put up, that's great, because that's now emulating the nature of Christ. He's got such capacity to put up with anything with us, and he's still willing to love to the point of dying. I mean, come on, what other exemplar do you want?
That's where we land this plane, to bring some Jesus into this, so that Jesus was in all of it if you're really listening.
Yep.
As much as we're talking about how you and Pastor Justin had to love each other and put up with a lot, no one has put up with more than Jesus.
Exactly. So,
for our sake, for your sake.
Yeah.
So I suppose take that to heart, that he put up a lot for you, put up a lot with your own mistakes and your own adventures and mishaps, and he'll still love you through that, because love never fails, never gives up, always hopes, always perseveres,
always endures, and rejoices in the truth. It is kind, it is patient, and it does not keep a record of wrongs.
Amen. And it's not envious.
It is not envious. It's not boastful. Yes.
Not prideful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
That's it.
Fantastico.